Chapter 142. Disappear again, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection. Su Qin took Qin Sheng straight to the bund. She remembered that on the first day they had arrived in Shanghai, she had accompanied Qin Sheng to the bund. They had walked hand in hand for 2 hours. Qin Sheng was so excited that he even shouted at the Huangpu River, "Shanghai, I'm coming." Su Qin also did not feel tired. Perhaps it was because she was accompanying the man she loved the most. For them, the life at that time was full of longing. They had imagined the future and sighed with emotion. Unfortunately, they could not be together in the end. After parking the car, the two strolled along the Huangpu River at the bund. Even though it was a winter night, no matter how cold the wind was, the bund would never lack tourists. It was unknown how many men came here to pursue their dreams, and it was unknown how many people's lives had changed at this moment. I heard from Hao Lei that you went back to Xin on New Year's Day. The cold wind blew Su Qin's hair, making it flutter in the wind. However, it was somewhat messy and beautiful. She only wore a turtleneck sweater and a gray woolen coat. The weather was somewhat cold. Qin Sheng nodded silently as he said, "Yes, Annie Wang celebrated her birthday on New Year's Day. Xin and I went back to accompany her." "How is Annie Wang? How is Uncle Lin? I haven't seen them for a long time." Su Qin lowered her head slightly, stroked her hair, and smiled. When she smiled, there were 2 charming dimples. In high school, many boys wanted to make Su Qin smile, but no matter how hard they tried, they could not compare to Qin Sheng's look. Qin Sheng took a deep breath to make himself look more natural and casual. He replied, "They're all good. Thank you for taking care of them for me when I was away, especially Xin. I heard from her that you often visited her." Su Qin said lightly, "There is no need to thank me. They're also my friends. These are what I should do. I also regard Xin as my younger sister." Qin Sheng smiled bitterly as he said, "No matter what, I still have to thank you. If you really want to thank me, you can invite me to dinner another day," Su Qin said with a smile. Obviously, she could not let go of Qin Sheng. If she really let go of him and did not disturb him, that would be the best way to get along. However, after all, they had been in a relationship for 6 years. It was not easy to let go of a mere 11 paintings. Qin Sheng agreed directly, "No problem. You can eat whatever you want." Su Qin was a little surprised as she said, "I thought you would refuse." Qin Sheng laughed and said, "Why should I refuse? I don't know how many men want to treat you to a meal. It is my honor." "Don't say that. I don't like it," Su Qin said a little angrily. If it was another man who said that, Su Qin would not think much of it. However, the man in front of her was Qin Sheng. She and Qin Sheng used to be intimate lovers. They had done everything together. Qin Sheng said that to distance himself from her. Qin Sheng did not notice it at all. He just said that subconsciously. He quickly said, "I'm sorry. Qin Sheng, I feel that you are always running away from me. Are you unwilling to face me? Or do you hate me in your heart and still resent me for breaking up with you?" Su Qin asked. Today, she came to Qin Sheng because she wanted to make a lot of things clear. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, "No. What's there to hate? Everything is past. I accept everything that happened. You have your own life. I don't want to disturb your peaceful life because of my appearance." "Haha, is that so?" Su Qin smiled bitterly and said, "But your appearance has already disturbed my life. Qin Sheng, I regret being impulsive at that time. I regret that I was not by your side when you needed me the most. I often think of these things and blame myself all the time. In the past 2 years, I have been looking for you all the time, but there is no news of you. Do you know how much I miss you, Qin Sheng?" In the end, Su Qin's eyes were red. Yes, she could not let go of Qin Sheng. She really could not let go of the feelings of 6 years. If she could let go, she would not have been single for more than 2 years. Otherwise, she might have married and had children. After all, there were many men chasing after her. "Su Qin, don't say these things. You're a good girl. I thank God for letting me have you," Qin Sheng said very sincerely. Su Qin said stubbornly, "I want to ask you, in the past 2 years, have you ever missed me?" "I have. In the beginning, I missed you all the time. But I told myself that we have broken up, and you should have your own happiness. My road has just begun. I don't know what I have to experience. So I told myself to let go. Qin Sheng said honestly. People were not saints. Who could forget a woman who had been in love with him for 6 years at once? However, time was an omnipotent antidote. No matter how unforgettable the love was, it would eventually be completely worn away by time. Gradually, it would fade away. Su Qin said with some heartache. So you really let go like this? Qin Sheng did not know what to say. He did not want to hurt Su Qin's heart. After all, she was the woman he used to love deeply. Even if she cried, Qin Sheng would feel sorry for her. Su Qin gritted her teeth and said, I know. Qin Sheng's silence was the answer. But she was not willing to give up like this. She put down her dignity and said, But I can't. Why can't I let go? Qin Sheng, I still love you deeply. I want to go back to the previous life. I want us to start again. After saying that, Su Qin directly hugged Qin Sheng. This hug melted Qin Sheng's heart. It used to be such a familiar feeling, but now it was so strange. This was also the first time that Su Qin had directly expressed the love in her heart. Qin Sheng was very shocked. At that time, he really thought that Su Qin did not love him anymore, so she broke up with him. He had some resentment in his heart. Later, he felt relieved and felt that it was nothing. No matter who talked about the past, he would defend Su Qin. But until this moment, he understood Su Qin's heart. She really still loved him. If Qin Sheng had not met Lin Su, he might have been able to reconcile with Su Qin. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. He met Lin Su and let go of Su Qin at that time. Now, Lin Su was more in his heart. He was not willing to lie to Su Qin. He made up his mind and said, Su Qin, thank you for still loving me. But I already have someone I love. I'm sorry. Upon hearing this, Su Qin felt like being struck by 5 thunders. The last hope in her heart completely collapsed. She slowly pushed Qin Sheng away and stared at him with a look of disbelief. Her tears flowed down. In such a temperature, they were like 2 ice knives. Su Qin just stared at Qin Sheng like this. It was unknown how long she had stared at him. She laughed at herself and slowly turned around to leave. After taking a few steps, she suddenly collapsed. She squatted on the ground and cried bitterly with her head in her arms. The sound of her crying was heartbreaking. Seeing Su Qin like this, Qin Sheng felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. He really wanted to slap himself and scold. You are AF asterisk king scum. How can you bear to let the woman you used to love deeply, the woman who still loves you deeply, be like this? You once said that you would accompany her to old age. You once said that you would protect her forever. Are all your words bullsh asterisk T? Qin Sheng could not stand it anymore. He ran over in a hurry and directly held Su Qin in his arms. He let her cry bitterly in his arms. No matter what would happen in the future, at least at this moment, he would protect Su Qin. After a long time, Su Qin finally cried enough. Qin Sheng's arms were still so warm. She did not want to think about anything. She just wanted time to stop at this moment, so that he could cherish a few more seconds. Finally, after the lights on both sides of the Huangpu River gradually dimmed, Qin Sheng said softly, Let me send you back. Okay. Su Qin rubbed against Qin Sheng's chest and nodded slightly. Qin Sheng held Su Qin in his arms until they got in the car. Qin Sheng drove, and Su Qin sat in the passenger seat. Qin Sheng took the initiative to help her fasten the seatbelt. Along the way, Su Qin looked at Qin Sheng quietly. Her eyes could melt the snow in winter. Finally, Qin Sheng sent her to the door. At the door, Qin Sheng said calmly, Have a good sleep. Everything will be fine. As long as you want, we are still friends. As long as you need, I can appear in front of you at any time. Really? Su Qin said softly. Qin Sheng nodded heavily and said, Really? Good night. After that, Qin Sheng closed the door and left happily. Su Qin, who was behind the door, smiled. Wang Feng sang in the song, Dream is nothing. Love is nothing. After all, life has to go on without these things. Therefore, Qin Sheng, who was busy with work, had forgotten what happened last night. After finishing the day's work, Qin Sheng asked Mizzen for leave again. He said that he was going to go out of town. Although Mizzen felt uncomfortable, she could only agree. But she still complained about Qin Sheng. After thinking about it, there were not many guests during this period, so it was okay to ask for leave. Qin Sheng returned to Shilin Huayuan. After packing up his things, he went straight to the airport. He did not inform anyone. He had already bought the ticket yesterday. His phone was turned off, and Qin Sheng disappeared completely. This made everyone very confused. They all thought that something had happened to Qin Sheng, including Lin Su, who was about to celebrate her birthday. Lin Su was a little anxious. She could not contact Qin Sheng no matter how hard she tried. She did not know where Qin Sheng lived or where he worked. After midnight, it was another birthday. Lin Su's phone began to be bombarded. It was like this every year at this time. She was used to it. In the past, she would directly turn off her phone and wait until the next day to reply others. But this year, she did not, because she was waiting for Qin Sheng to say happy birthday to her. Unfortunately, Lin Su waited until midnight, but there was no news from Qin Sheng. Finally, Lin Su called Qin Sheng again, but his phone was still turned off. That night, Lin Su did not sleep well. She was in a bad mood. When she got up the next morning and opened her eyes, she picked up her phone to see if there was any call or message from Qin Sheng, but there was still no message. Although it was her birthday today, Lin Su did not give herself a holiday. She went to the company early, wanting to see the white rose on the office table. Unfortunately, she did not see it today. Lin Su was very disappointed. The day passed in a busy work. At noon, her colleagues in the company held a simple birthday party for her. They bought cakes and gifts and so on. Lin Su's mood was finally eased. Just after work in the afternoon, Yin Xiaozong came to pick Lin Su up. Lin Su's birthday party was personally organized by him. Many of their relatives and friends were invited. Lin Su originally wanted to reject, but in the end, she agreed. This was because she wanted to announce a piece of news today, but it was useless now. Chapter 143. A perfect couple, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection. The ancestors of the Yin and Lin families were both Zhejiang businessmen. They became business partners at the end of the Qing dynasty. During the Republic of China, the Jiangsu and Zhejiang businessmen made use of their financial advantages in the business and political arena. Although the Yin and Lin families were not the kind of big families that were the leaders, they became the big winners in this wave of the times. The Yin family entered Shanghai early on and had been taking root here. The Lin family, on the other hand, was deeply rooted in Zhejiang, with Ningbo as their base camp. Although they suffered a devastating blow during the turbulent times, they had a wide range of connections. In addition, many of their branches had already established a foothold abroad. Hence, after the reform and opening up, the two families quickly stood up again. However, in Shanghai, which was at the forefront of the reform and opening up, the Yin family became more and more powerful. In comparison, the Lin family paled in comparison. Hence, the Lin family was quite satisfied with the marriage this time. The marriage between the most outstanding descendants of both families was the most satisfying marriage for both families. Although Lin Su did not admit it, Yin Xiaozong had long treated Lin Su as his fiancée. Hence, he was the one who organized the birthday party this year. He gathered the young people of the same generation of both families together and many of their mutual friends. Yin Xiaozong naturally knew the intention of doing this. It was to satisfy the desire of the younger generation of the Lin family to interact with the Yin family. This way, not only would the younger generation be satisfied, but the elders would also appreciate it. This was his way of doing things. A simple birthday party with many reasons. However, this was precisely what Lin Su did not like. For many things, Lin Su preferred the simpler the better. There was no need to be too complicated or mixed with other meanings. A birthday with a bouquet of flowers, a meal, a birthday cake, and a happy birthday was enough. Yin Xiaozong booked a medium-sized banquet hall in the Peninsula Hotel. At this time, the relatives and friends of both families had already arrived. They were all young people. Yin Xiaozong did not invite the elders so that they would not be able to relax. On the way to the Peninsula Hotel, Lin Su was still very depressed. She was thinking about what Qin Sheng had done. She had specially asked Qin Sheng if he had anything to do today. Qin Sheng also said that he was fine. Why did he suddenly disappear? Could it be that Qin Sheng met with danger or went on a business trip? with their current relationship. Even if Qin Sheng went on a business trip, he would at least let her know. It's your birthday today. Why do you seem to be in a bad mood? Yin Xiaozong asked in confusion. Yin Xiaozong was quite happy that Lin Su had agreed to hold this gathering for him. At least to him, Lin Su still had him in her heart. From another perspective, there was really nothing between Lin Su and Qin Sheng. Otherwise, they would have gone to the world of the two of them, and he would not have anything to do with it. Lin Su naturally had to cover it up. She said casually, "It's nothing. Maybe I've been too tired from work recently and didn't rest well." Yin Xiaozong chuckled and said, "Well, work is never finished. When it's time to rest, you still have to rest. At the very least, you have to take good care of yourself. I want to take care of you, but if you don't give me a chance, I'm really afraid that Granny Lin, Uncle, and Annie will blame me." Lin Su did not want to talk about these things, so she changed the topic. "Where are we going now?" "The Peninsula Hotel. Your birthday party will be held there," Yin Xiaozong explained. Lin Su said awkwardly, "Are we going now? At least let me go back and change my clothes." "No need. I've already ordered a gown for you. You can just change in the guest room of the Peninsula Hotel. It's more convenient this way." Yin Xiaozong had already arranged everything. Ellie's gowns were the world's top high-end, custom-made gowns. They were worn by celebrities when they walked the red carpet. Some celebrities even rented them or wore knockoffs. But Yin Xiaozong naturally did not lack this bit of money. After all, he was investing in his future wife. Lin Su was a little helpless, but she still said politely, "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Yin Xiaozong said with a gentlemanly smile. Putting everything else aside, any woman who met a man like Yin Xiaozong would be the perfect life partner. But love was not something that could be settled just by being compatible. If two people lived together, it would be a lifetime. If there were no feelings, no chemistry, no topics to talk about, etc., it would not take long for them to get tired of each other. Not long after, they arrived at the Peninsula Hotel. Lin Su's close friends had been waiting for a long time. Yin Xiaozong brought Lin Su directly to the customer service. Seeing Lin Su enter, her close friends joked, "Our male and female leads are finally here tonight. They are indeed a perfect match." This was Lin Su's best friend, Tan Jing. Currently, she was also in Shanghai, working in a consulting company of the world's top 500. Usually, she and Lin Su spent the most time together. Beautiful women were often surrounded by beautiful women. These three close friends were also extremely beautiful. Each of them had different styles and temperaments. Lin Su stared at Tan Jing and said, "No one will think you're mute if you don't speak." "Oh, are you shy?" Tan Jing said disapprovingly. Lin Su really did not know what to do with her. Yin Xiaozong knew that it was not appropriate to stay here. He said sensibly, "Then you guys chat. I'll go up and see if everything is ready. Take care, young Master Yin. We won't see you off." The few women teased him. They were more or less envious of Lin Su. But the Lin family was rich, and Lin Su was also extremely outstanding. They could only be envious. After Yin Xiaozong left, Tan Jing quickly pulled Lin Su inside and said, "Beauty Lin, come and try on your Ellie gown. I'm dying of envy. When will a Prince Charming buy one for me?" "You're really a gold digger," Lin Su said coquettishly. Song Chu, another beautiful woman with a good figure at the side, pouted and said, "You really don't know how lucky you are. If not for the fact that we are close friends, I would have already made a move on young Master Yin." "Ha ha!" The few women laughed and scolded. Yin Xiaozong, on the other hand, went to another room. He had already arranged for people to receive the guests tonight. At this moment, there were already many guests in the banquet hall upstairs. Yin Xiaozong's phone was also about to explode from the calls. However, he did not pick up. Instead, he frowned. In front of him stood Feng He, who had just returned, and Uncle Zhen, who had been following him recently. "Feng He, how's the investigation going?" Yin Xiaozong asked in a low voice. He has a daughter who is studying at Fudan University and is currently in her second year of university. Qin Sheng had a girlfriend called Su Qin when he was in high school. She was the joke of their school. The two of them entered Fudan University together and broke up before graduation. It was at that time that Qin Sheng's grandfather passed away. Then, he disappeared for 2.5 years. He only returned to Shanghai a few months ago. Apart from the missing information of Qin Sheng for more than 2 years, all the information of Qin Sheng and Xian is of no threat to us. Feng, he said slowly, we have found out where Qin Sheng was born. He came to Xi and with his grandfather when he was 6 years old and has been living at the foot of the Zhongnan Mountains. His grandfather did not have any background and was just an ordinary old man. After Qin Sheng went to school, he was placed in foster parents' house. This man was a businessman, and his business was doing quite well and Xin with assets of hundreds of millions. This was all the information that Feng he could find. Naturally, he could not find any further information. Even Qin Sheng himself did not know what his grandfather did in the past, let alone these outsiders. After listening, Yin Xiaozong was slightly satisfied. After all, the less threatening Qin Sheng was, the more at ease he felt. However, he suddenly realized something was wrong. He frowned and asked, where are his biological parents? Qin Sheng is an orphan. We don't know anything about his parents. Feng he explained. Yin Xiaozong nodded slightly. However, he quickly looked at Uncle Zhen and said, Uncle Zhen, you told me the day before yesterday that Qin Sheng went overseas? Yes, I checked the flight records. He went to Chengdu and has not returned yet, Uncle Zhen explained. Yin Xiaozong chuckled. It's best that he doesn't return. He was not even at Lin Su's birthday. He really thought too highly of himself. All right, let's go up, Yin Xiaozong said happily. When Qin Sheng came out of Pudong Airport, Xia Ding was already waiting outside. Qin Sheng frowned and asked, do you know where it is? Boss, if I can't do this, I really don't have the face to see you. I found it long ago. It's at the Peninsula Hotel. I'll send you there directly, Xia Ding said honestly. This was the task that Qin Sheng had given him. He naturally had to complete it perfectly. In the banquet hall of the Peninsula Hotel, the relatives and friends of the Yin and Lin family had all arrived. If they included each other's companions, there were a total of 40 to 50 people. It could be seen how grand the scene was today. After Yin Xiaozong came in, he became the focus of the crowd. He regarded himself as the male host and greeted all the guests present. He listened to their praises and enjoyed it. After a while, Feng he came over to tell him that Lin Su was already prepared and was waiting outside. Yin Xiaozong greeted everyone and left. At the same time, he asked Feng he to tell the host that they could start. Outside the banquet hall, when Yin Xiaozong saw Lin Su, he was really shocked. He felt that this purplish-pink Ellie was really beautiful. He felt that this purple and pink Ellie Sob fairy gown was really suitable for Lin Su. Tonight, Lin Su was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. Yin Xiaozong stared at Lin Su and could not come back to his senses for a while. Lin Su was a little embarrassed, but she really admired Yin Xiaozong's taste. This gown was really beautiful and especially suited for her temperament. Lin Su coughed. Yin Xiaozong then came back to his senses and said sincerely, Lin Su, you're really too beautiful tonight. I've never seen such a beautiful fairy before. Thank you. Lin Su nodded politely. At this moment, after the host warmed up the crowd, he said slowly, next, let's give a warm round of applause to tonight's female lead, Lin Su. Yin Xiaozong bent his knees slightly and reached out his hand at the same time. Lin Su wanted to reject him, but she had no choice but to hold his hand. Yin Xiaozong smiled knowingly. When the door of the banquet hall was pushed open, he led Lin Su in slowly. Chapter 144. He wouldn't miss it. Begging for monthly votes, begging for my collection. Hope everyone can support me. Marriage was the most direct way for rich and powerful families to stabilize their status and strengthen their relationship with each other. Only in this way could they maximize their benefits and form an unbreakable alliance of interests. This was just like how high officials and nobles would become sworn brothers. Similarly, the bigger the ship, the harder it was to remain silent. If it was an aircraft carrier, then everyone would be afraid of it. The Lin family hoped to climb on the Yin family's big ship, and the Yin family also hoped that their big ship would be more stable. Therefore, everyone on these two ships hoped that Lin Su and Yin Xiaozong would get married, but they didn't care if Lin Su was willing. Born in such a family, living like a prince since young, enjoying resources that people of the same age shouldn't have. They would naturally have to pay the price. Their price might be happiness and freedom. Ordinary people felt that Lin Su and Yin Chaozong were a good match. Whoever married a man like Yin Chaozong would not have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of their lives. For example, Lin Su's close friends. After all, in today's society, only those who had money and power could have confidence. Perhaps this was their definition of happiness. There were 10,000 Heimlets in 10,000 people's hearts, and 10,000 people's hearts also had 10,000 definitions of happiness. Lin Su's definition was to at least find someone she liked who also happened to like her. She wasn't willing to settle, and she didn't want to be like what others said. Women only needed to find a man who loved them. Yin Chaozong held Lin Su's hand and walked slowly to the stage. There were two violins playing a melodious tune, and everyone applauded for a long time. Lin Su's long hair was tied up, and she wore a light pink light sand floor-length evening gown. Yin Chaozong was handsome and suave, wearing a black and white tuxedo. Such a romantic scene was really enviable to the onlookers. Many women's eyes were a little blurred, thinking that the men around them or their future men would give them such a birthday party. However, Lin Su, the focus of the audience, the protagonist of the night, was not happy, but she still had to wear a polite and perfunctory smile. This made her feel very tired. Moreover, she had something on her mind and did not sleep well last night. She hated it the most when people arrange her life according to their emotions without asking whether she liked it or not. For example, when she wanted to start her own business, her family arranged for her to enter the family business. That was why she went on a 3-month-long journey. She emptied herself and did not think about anything. That was how she met Qin Sheng, one of the most important men in her life. Our female lead today is really beautiful. Does everyone think she's beautiful? The host sighed from the bottom of his heart. He was used to the world and had seen many beauties, but he was still conquered by Lin Su. Beautiful, everyone praised. Then let me ask our female lead. How is her mood at this moment? The host had already asked someone to pass the microphone to Lin Su. Lin Su did not like to be in the spotlight. It was just like those friends who liked to go to Paris to watch fashion shows or attend fashion banquets or brand launches. She had never cared about such things. She felt that such a life was for others to see, and there was no meaning in it. However, in this situation tonight, she could only suppress her disgust and continue. She cooperated and said, "I'm very excited. Thank you for coming to my birthday party. Beauty Lin, you should be most grateful to this handsome man beside you. As far as I know, your birthday party was planned and prepared by Mr. Yin." The host was in control of the situation. Lin Su looked at Yin Chaozong, who was beside her. He was indeed very outstanding. He had always been cultivated by old Master Yin as a successor. The other people in the Yin family could also see that old Master Yin admired him. Yin Chaozong did not let the Yin family down. He had always been outstanding among his peers. Now, he had also participated in the Yin family's business and was doing very well. The Yin family was currently led by the second son of the Yin family, who was also Yin Chaozong's second uncle. He only had 2 daughters, so he especially valued Yin Chaozong. As for the 2 children of the third son, one was a playboy and the other was too young. "Thank you." Lin Su only said 2 simple words. Yin Chaozong was more or less disappointed. But what could he do? Lin Su had always been like this to him. A word of thanks is worth more than 1,000 words. I think Mr. Yin can also understand what Miss Lin means. After all, you two have been childhood sweethearts. I heard that you two are going to get engaged soon. Then, let us first congratulate this couple with a warm round of applause. This was what Yin Chaozong taught the host. He was planning to use different methods to force Lin Su to the edge of the cliff, leaving her with no way out. He wanted everyone to know that Lin Su was his fiancée and no one should have any ideas about her. After hearing this, Lin Su's expression changed. She restrained the anger in her heart. She did not expect Yin Chaozong to have such a trick up his sleeves. The 2 families had not decided yet, and he had already sealed the coffin. Did he really think that he could make her die? At this time, the host left the scene happily. Yin Xiaozong could see that Lin Su did not like it. Even if she did not like it, he had to do this. Qin Sheng's appearance made Yin Xiaozong realize the danger. In the past, the methods he used to deal with other pursuers were always successful. But this Qin Sheng did not fall for it. He could only use two methods at the same time to ensure that nothing went wrong. Thank you. On behalf of Lin Su, I thank everyone for attending her birthday party. I also hope that everyone could be there on the day of our engagement. Yin Xiaozong did not feel that there was anything wrong with Lin Su. They all thought that Lin Su was just too excited or too nervous. When I first met Lin Su, I was 6 years old. I saw a little girl with her hair tied up in a ponytail sitting on the lawn. Her hands were supporting her chin as she looked at the sunset. I thought I had forgotten her, but when I came back to China and saw her again, I still had the same feeling. I felt that I couldn't wait any longer. So under the matchmaking of the two families, I chased after her without hesitation. Although everyone knew that we were going to get engaged soon, I never confessed to her. So today, I want to confess to her. I want to tell her that I love her, Yin Xiaozong said affectionately. Yin Xiaozong looked at Lin Su and said, I was 6 years old when I first met Lin Su. I saw a little girl with her hair tied up in a ponytail sitting on the lawn, her hands supporting her chin, looking at the sunset. Her eyes were a little sad, which made my heart ache. At that time, I made up my mind that I must marry this girl in this lifetime. Later, we gradually grew up and experienced a lot of things together. Lin Su was like a big sister taking care of me, which made my heart more and more touched. I also made up my mind. After graduating from high school, we didn't contact each other for some years. At this time, the lights suddenly dimmed, and the spotlight shone on Lin Su and Yin Xiaozong. Yin Xiaozong knelt on one knee and slowly took out the diamond ring that he had prepared for a long time from his pocket. This was a custom-made diamond ring that belonged to Lin Su. Lin Su's face was full of shock. She had thought that Yin Xiaozong was holding this business party just to let everyone know that they were going to be engaged. She didn't expect that Yin Xiaozong still had a trick up his sleeve. He was proposing to her. Everyone present exclaimed. They did not expect that this was the main theme of today, and they were witnessing this moment. If it was another woman, she might have been blinded by happiness at this time. Unfortunately, Lin Su was not moved at all. On the contrary, she was very angry. This was forcing her to the edge of the cliff step by step. She had no reason to refuse. Yin Xiaozong was really too shrewd. Lin Su, marry me. Yin Xiaozong took out the diamond ring and said affectionately. No matter what, Yin Xiaozong was absolutely sincere at this time. Lin Su's face turned pale. She did not know what to do. She really did not know. After all, she had never experienced this kind of situation before. She knew that if she did not agree, she would lose Yin Xiaozong's face completely and also slap the Yin family's face. It would make the Lin family even angrier. But she knew that if she agreed, the happiness that belonged to her in this life would be taken away. And she had no chance at all. It was impossible for her to agree perfunctorily first and then reject him later. Say yes, say yes. Everyone present was watching the show and did not think that it would be a big deal. They began to cheer for Yin Xiaozong, but they did not know what Lin Su was feeling. The voices were getting louder and louder. Lin Su was completely stunned and did not know what to do. Yin Xiaozong kept staring at Lin Su, his face full of sincerity. Lin Su did not respond for a long time. The voices of the crowd gradually disappeared. In the end, it was especially quiet. Yin Xiaozong was prepared to continue to say something that could move Lin Su. He believed that Lin Su would definitely nod. At this moment, the door of the banquet hall was slowly pushed open. A man walked in from outside. The man was holding a cake with candles on it. Two little girls followed him on both sides. Their little faces were red, and there were many cracks. They had never been to such a luxurious hotel and had never seen such a glamorous scene. At this moment, they were very nervous, and their hands were tightly gripping onto their clothes. Happy birthday to you. 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 The two little girls had a tacit understanding and sang the birthday song at the same time. Although their voices were not loud, in such a quiet scene, everyone's attention was turned to them. Lin Su also subconsciously looked in the direction of the door. When she saw the man who was holding a cake but looked a little tired, and the two little girls beside him who had written her countless letters, but she did not have time to visit them, Lin Su's eyes instantly turned red. Then, she revealed the brightest smile of the night. Chapter 145. No regrets? Come, come, come. Smash the monthly tickets. The slightly tired man holding the cake in his hands was naturally Qin Sheng. The two little girls singing the birthday song were the two sisters that Lin Su had sponsored back then. Lin Su had been sponsoring them for the past 2 years, but due to work and other reasons, she did not have time to visit them. However, the two sisters would often write letters to Lin Su. As it was too expensive to call them, they could not bear to do so. Lin Su would also occasionally call their teacher and ask the teacher to find them for a chat. The two sisters' grades were especially good, which made Lin Su very happy. God rarely gave you 2 chances to change your fate. If you did not grasp the first chance, then your fate in this life might be like that. The two sisters were not willing to miss this chance. When he returned to Shanghai and met Lin Su for the first time, Qin Sheng heard Lin Su say that she missed the two sisters very much. She felt a little guilty because she had not had time to visit them. That night, Qin Sheng was thinking about what kind of birthday present could move Lin Su. In the end, he thought of the two sisters. Hence, Qin Sheng did not hesitate to go to Chengdu. Then, he drove straight to Sichuan Southwest, which was hundreds of kilometers away, and brought the two sisters to Shanghai. This was also their first time leaving their hometown, their first time taking a plane, and their first time coming to Shanghai. In the past, they only saw the big city on TV or in photos. This time, they had fulfilled their little wishes. After traveling back and forth for thousands of miles, Qin Sheng was really exhausted. Other than taking a nap on the plane, he basically did not sleep. When he came back, he did not even change his clothes and directly rushed to the Peace Hotel. Everything else was arranged by Xia Ding. Hence, at this moment, Qin Sheng looked more like a down-and-out migrant worker. Everyone's attention was focused on the entrance of the banquet hall. The stage lighting engineer thought it was Yin Chaozong's surprise segment, so he specially shone the spotlight on Qin Sheng and the two little girls. Yin Chaozong's expression changed instantly. He did not expect Qin Sheng to mess things up at this time. Qin Sheng held the cake and slowly walked towards Lin Su with the two little girls under everyone's gaze. Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng with red eyes. She really did not need a grand, complicated, and impetuous scene. She just needed to be moved. Feng He realized the danger and hurriedly rushed out to block Qin Sheng. He sneered and said, "I advise you not to take another step forward. Otherwise, I might take your life." Qin Sheng was calm and at ease. He stared at Feng He with a faint smile on his face. It seemed that he did not take this as a threat and did not believe that Feng He would dare to mess around here. Qin Sheng did not move, but Lin Su, who was on the stage, could no longer sit still. She snorted coldly. Feng He turned around and looked at Yin Chaozong. Of course, he would not listen to Lin Su. He had to act according to Yin Chaozong's wishes. At this moment, Yin Chaozong had the intention to kill, but he could only grit his teeth and said, "Let him come over." Feng He glared at Qin Sheng fiercely and stepped aside helplessly. Finally, Qin Sheng walked to the stage with the two little girls and stood beside Lin Su. The two little girls were very happy to see Lin Su. They said nervously and awkwardly, "Sister Lin, happy birthday." Lin Su held the two little girls in her arms dotingly. She touched their hair and said, "I haven't seen you for more than 2 years. You've grown so tall and beautiful." The two little girls blushed in embarrassment. Lin Su then raised her head and looked at Qin Sheng. His hair was messy and he had not shaved for a few days. There was a lot of dirt on his body. "Happy birthday," Qin Sheng said calmly. Lin Su said sincerely, "Thank you. Blow out the candles." Qin Sheng looked at the candles that were about to burn out and smiled. "But first, make a wish." Lin Su nodded and then closed her eyes. She put her palms together and began to make a wish. There was a faint smile on her face. At this time, his mood had finally recovered. After making the wish, Lin Su opened her eyes. She held the two little girls and gestured for them to blow out the candles together. The three of them blew out all the candles in one breath. The rest of the audience did not seem to understand what was going on, but they clapped subconsciously. The lights in the banquet hall shone again. The waiter took the cake away. Yin Chaozong, who was next to him, felt like he had been punched several times. He was full of resentment, but had nowhere to vent it. He had prepared a big 6-layer cake for Lin Su, but now it was useless. At this time, everyone understood. It seemed that Yin Chaozong was proposing to Lin Su just now, but was interrupted by this sloppy man in front of them. What should they do now? Lin Su's attention was completely on Qin Sheng. Yin Chaozong had been left at the side and was quite embarrassed. Lin Su had already made up her mind. She picked up the microphone and faced the audience, took a deep breath, and said, "Let me formally introduce everyone." After that, Lin Su made an action that shocked everyone. She held Qin Sheng's arm tightly and said, "This is my boyfriend. His name is Qin Sheng. I hope everyone can take care of him in the future." Her words caused an uproar. Everyone was stunned. They did not know what Lin Su was trying to do. Qin Sheng was also stunned. He did not expect that Lin Su would suddenly agree to be his girlfriend in front of everyone. This was absolutely unexpected. Yin Chaozong was even more stunned. He had arranged everything carefully to propose to Lin Su. He did not expect that not only did Lin Su not agree, but she also announced such a news. To him, this was definitely a critical hit. At this moment, Yin Chaozong's heart was like dead ashes. He stared at Lin Su with a dumbfounded face, as if he wanted Lin Su to give him an explanation. Lin Su turned around and looked at Yin Chaozong. She said calmly, "Chaozong, I'm sorry. I know you like me, and I also know the feelings between our two families. But I already have someone I like. Thank you for taking care of me all the time. I'm sorry." Yin Chaozong was completely desperate. He did not know what he had done wrong to make Lin Su treat him like this. Tonight, he had turned from the most dazzling male lead to the biggest joke in the audience. He already felt that everyone was pointing at him. He, who had been a winner in life since he was young, had completely become a loser in life at this moment. At this moment, his face had never looked so terrible. When had he ever suffered such a great humiliation? However, Yin Chaozong still restrained his anger. He knew that if he continued to stay here, he would only become a clown in everyone's eyes. Hence, he smiled faintly at Lin Su and left the banquet hall directly. However, he did not look Qin Sheng in the eye at all. To him, Qin Sheng could not be considered as an opponent at all. If Qin Sheng was compared to him, this itself was the biggest humiliation to him. After Yin Chaozong left, Feng He and the rest also left. The entire Yin family had been slapped in the face. Hence, everyone in the Yin family followed closely behind and left. An extremely lively birthday party, because of Qin Sheng's appearance and Lin Su's sudden announcement, was completely messed up. Since Yin Chaozong had already left, Lin Su knew that there was no need for them to stay. Hence, she held Qin Sheng's hand and left with the two little girls without saying goodbye to anyone present. The faces of everyone in the Lin family were also extremely terrible. They were completely disappointed in Lin Su. They also understood that after tonight's incident, it would be impossible for the Lin family to unite with the Yin family through marriage. They reckoned that the relationship between the two families would also be in question because of this incident. If nothing went wrong, it would not take long before the entire Lin family, Yin family, and their surrounding friends would know about what happened tonight. By then, it would really be lively. Outside the Peninsula Hotel, Xia Ding left Qin Sheng's Aston Martin. Qin Sheng left with Lin Su and the two little girls. In the end, they ran to a food stall to have their dinner. The Aston Martin parked by the road was really too ostentatious. After ordering, Qin Sheng and Lin Su looked at each other. Qin Sheng still had not come back to his senses. He felt that Lin Su was really too crazy tonight. This meant that the two of them were completely at the forefront of the storm. No one knew how things would develop next. The two little girls were called Shu 1 and Shu E. They had been hungry. After the dishes were served, they only cared about filling their stomachs. Qin Sheng and Lin Su suddenly burst out laughing at the same time. Shu Wen and Shu Yi looked at each other. They looked at Qin Sheng and then at Lin Su, not knowing what had happened. Qin Sheng patted Shu Wen's head and smiled. Don't worry about us. You guys eat first. Lin Su lowered her head and smiled faintly. Lin Su, you really agree to be my girlfriend? Qin Sheng asked weakly. He felt that Lin Su might be just saying it and did not take it seriously. Lin Su drank a mouthful of water and stared at Qin Sheng. Her gaze was extremely charming. She smiled and said, "It seems like you haven't confessed to me yet. If I agree just like that, wouldn't it be too unreserved?" Lin Su's words were obviously telling Qin Sheng that as long as he confessed, she would agree to it. Therefore, Qin Sheng straightened his back and looked serious. Without hesitation, he said, "Lin Su, I like you. Be my girlfriend. I am willing to use my whole life to protect you. No matter what happens in the future, no matter how big the waves are, no matter how high I stand or how badly I fall, as long as you don't give up, I will always be by your side. Okay, I will eat and drink from you. I will rely on you for the rest of my life." From the moment she announced the news, Lin Su had already promised Qin Sheng. At this moment, no matter what Qin Sheng said, she would nod. Originally, he thought that Lin Su would still make things difficult for him. He did not expect that Lin Su would directly nod. This made Qin Sheng somewhat at a loss, and he did not know what to say next. No matter how stupid Shu Wen and Shu Yi were, they understood what was happening at this moment. Of course, they liked Qin Sheng and Lin Su being together. They clapped excitedly. You won't regret it? Qin Sheng thought of what might happen next. At that time, the pressure that Lin Su would face was not something he could understand. Therefore, he said slowly, I can give you a chance to regret it. I won't regret it. I'm just afraid that you will regret it. Lin Su shook her head stubbornly and asked. Qin Sheng smiled disapprovingly and said, Even if the sky falls down, I won't regret it. I'm just afraid that you will be wronged. People of the same age as me have been wronged for so long, but I have always been living a smooth life. It's nothing to be wronged now, because I know that you will feel sorry for me and protect me. In the future, you will make it up to me, Lin Su said very gently. In the end, she was already embarrassed and lowered her head. When had she ever said such sweet words to a man? Chapter 146. Thank you for meeting me, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection. She knew what was going to happen next. Qin Sheng was afraid that she would be wronged. In fact, she was even more afraid that Qin Sheng would be wronged because she knew that no matter how the Lin family or the Yin family treated her, they would not go too far. After all, she was still a child of the Lin family. However, it was different for Qin Sheng. They would definitely think of ways to deal with him. The Yin and Lin families were wealthy and noble families in Ninghai and Shanghai. Now that such a thing had happened, they would naturally make the initiator, Qin Sheng, pay the price. After all, Qin Sheng lived in Shanghai, and the Yin family was deeply rooted there. If Qin Sheng wanted to stay in Shanghai, he would have to face the powerful Yin family. What would he choose then? After dinner, Qin Sheng was thinking about how to arrange for Shu Wen and Shu Yi. However, Lin Su took the initiative to let them stay at her place. She could take care of them too. Tomorrow, she would take 2 days off to show the two sisters around. Then, Qin Sheng would send them back. Qin Sheng was quite satisfied with Lin Su's arrangement. Qin Sheng drove Lin Su and the two sisters back to their apartment. To be honest, Qin Sheng really did not want to part with Lin Su. After all, he was very emotional tonight. However, he still said sensibly, Then you guys rest early. I'll go back first. Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng with a playful look. Don't you want to go up and sit for a while? Okay. Qin Sheng did not give Lin Su a chance to regret and nodded in agreement. Lin Su could not help but laugh. This man was quite cute sometimes. Back to Yin Chaozong, who had been slapped hard in the face. After leaving the Peninsula Hotel, Yin Chaozong drove back to Thompson Epeen's house alone. He wanted to be alone and turned off his phone. He knew that the outside world had already known about what happened tonight. There were tens of millions of people in Shanghai, but only a few stood at the top of the pyramid. A piece of news could be known by the whole city in no time. let alone such a big joke. Many people were eager to see him and the Yin family become a joke. Lin Su, why did you do this to me? Yin Chaozong, who had always been calm and graceful, had completely lost his patience at this moment. He directly grabbed the vase on the dining table and smashed it against the wall. The vase shattered with a loud sound. Following that, several other artworks were smashed by Yin Chaozong. The floor of the living room was a mess. Yin Chaozong vented his anger unscrupulously. After venting his anger, Yin Chaozong calmed down. After suffering such a great loss, he had to regain his dignity. He could not do anything to Lin Su. The relationship between the Yin and Lin families was still there. He could not fall out with them. If he could get rid of Qin Sheng, he and Lin Su might still have a chance. If a man did not know how to endure and was too impulsive, he would often suffer a great loss. The only thing Yin Chaozong could do now was to pretend that nothing had happened on the surface and look for an opportunity to get rid of Qin Sheng behind his back. As long as he did it without anyone knowing, everyone would be happy. Hence, Yin Chaozong turned on his phone and dialed Feng He's number. You and Uncle Zhen, keep a close eye on him. I want to know his movements at all times. Once you find a chance, get rid of him without hesitation. Young master, don't worry. I won't let you down, Feng He said with a gloomy face. Just as Yin Chaozong hung up, second uncle called. Yin Chaozong smiled and picked up the phone. Second uncle, what's up? Do you want to drink with me? Drink? Why would I be in the mood to drink at this time? I already know what happened tonight, yet you still act as if nothing happened. You can't even handle a woman and made such a big joke out of yourself. Do you want me to clean up your mess? Second uncle Yin scolded Yin Chaozong. Yin Chaozong forced himself to calm down and said, Second uncle, what kind of rumors did you hear again? I had a small conflict with Lin Su. Don't worry, it's fine. It's best if it's fine. Don't let old master know about this. I'll help you block it first. You'd better clean it up, second uncle Yin reminded him, and then hung up. In Lin Su's apartment in Lujiazui, this was Qin Sheng's first time entering Lin Su's house. He originally thought that the decoration would be very luxurious and stylish, but he did not expect it to be so simple. There were down-to-earth daily necessities everywhere. It was very homey. Qin Sheng was watching TV outside. Lin Su let the two sisters shower and rest first. Then, she came out to chat with Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng said proudly, Am I the first man to enter your house? Other than my dad, you are indeed the first. Lin Su took off her coat and only wore a sweater. She smiled faintly. Qin Sheng smiled cheekily and said, It's my honor. Don't act like you've gotten what you deserve. Lin Su sat not far away from Qin Sheng. She rolled her eyes at him and pouted. Qin Sheng sighed and said, From tomorrow onwards, I have to save money and strive to marry you as soon as possible. If such a daughter-in-law is snatched away by someone else, it will not be worth it. Have you really thought about it? Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng very seriously. Now there were only the two of them. They could say whatever they wanted to say directly. Qin Sheng picked up the glass of water and smiled bitterly. Lin Su, I know what you want to say, but if there were no challenges and setbacks, it would be so easy for me to get you. I think I'm not that lucky. Otherwise, I would have become famous long ago. I promised you, so I won't regret it. I won't look back. But do you know what you're going to face? Lin Su suddenly felt the sorrow of being born in a royal family. If she was from an ordinary family, perhaps there would not be so many problems. Qin Sheng was deep in thought. After a while, he laughed at himself and said, I have to face the famous young master Yin Chaozong in Hudu. I have to face the powerful Yin family behind him. I also have to face the Lin family. This is indeed a difficult problem, but you're not afraid. As a man, what right do I have to be afraid? You know all these? Lin Su was very surprised. Qin Sheng explained slowly. I knew about the Yin family earlier, but I didn't expect my number one love rival to be Yin Chaozong. Compared to him, I'm indeed like dust. Although I don't know what the Lin family's background is, it's obviously not simple to be compared to the Yin family. But just because of this, I have to give up the woman I like. I can't do it. I will regret it for the rest of my life and live in regret. Then have you thought about how to face it? Lin Su asked casually. Qin Sheng said half-jokingly. I plan to elope with you, as long as you're willing. Speak properly, Lin Su said angrily. Qin Sheng then said seriously, to be honest, I really haven't thought about it. After all, facing them, I have no chance of winning at all. I can only deal with it when it comes. But I have the biggest advantage, which is that you're on my side. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I will stand by your side, Lin Su said firmly. She still didn't know what to do with the Yin family. But as for the Lin family, she had already prepared for the worst. It was nothing more than a leave that seemingly bright and beautiful but extremely dirty family. But she was worried about her grandmother. Thinking of this, Lin Su knew that when her grandmother heard about this, she would definitely be extremely disappointed in her. There was a woman who was willing to go through all these storms with him. Even if Qin Sheng died, he had nothing to regret. So he held Lin Su's hand emotionally. He really didn't know what he had done to make Lin Su agree. If he could successfully get through this crisis, Qin Sheng swore that he would definitely work harder to give her happiness. It was getting late. Qin Sheng didn't dare to push his luck and spend the night here. After all, he and Lin Su had just started. Moreover, he reckoned that Yin Chaozong was now watching him closely. If he knew that he spent the night here with Lin Su, he would probably chop him to death on the street tomorrow. Then I'll go back first. I'll pick you up tomorrow. I'll be your full-time driver these 2 days, Qin Sheng said with a smile after he got up. Lin Su said disapprovingly, Isn't this the responsibility of a boyfriend? Qin Sheng stretched out his hand and touched Lin Su's nose. This action was extremely ambiguous, but Lin Su didn't get angry. She just froze for a while and then lowered her head shyly. Qin Sheng was really fascinated by that look. That was why people said that no matter how strong a woman was, when they were in love, they would also look like a little woman. Lin Su sent Qin Sheng to the door. Before they parted, Qin Sheng suddenly turned around and hugged Lin Su. Lin Su was a little surprised and subconsciously hugged Qin Sheng. She said softly, What's wrong? This was not the first time Qin Sheng hugged Lin Su, but it felt different. He said slowly, Thank you for meeting you, Lin Su. After that, Qin Sheng turned around and left, leaving Lin Su standing at the door in a daze. Lin Su was stunned for a moment. After a long time, she suddenly laughed. Driving Xia Ding's flashy Aston Martin, Qin Sheng just drove out of the neighborhood and found that he was being followed. This was expected, but Qin Sheng was still careful, for fear of any accidents. When he returned to Shilin Huayuan, it was already past 11 o'clock at night. Too many things had happened tonight. Qin Sheng needed to calm down and then think about some things next. He was not a brainless young man. The crisis was already in front of him. If he didn't think of a way to solve it, he wouldn't even know how he would die in the end. However, facing the powerful Yin family and Lin family, facing Yin Chaozong, who was many times better than him, Qin Sheng felt very helpless. He had a sense of powerlessness. But no matter what, the road was chosen by himself, and he had to face it, unless he gave up on Lin Su, which was obviously impossible. Hao Lei and Chang Baji were still awake. Hearing the movement outside, they quickly ran out. They saw Qin Sheng sitting in the living room, smoking and frowning. Hao Lei asked, Damn, what have you been doing these days? Your phone is off, and you can't send messages. We all thought you were going to disappear again. Qin Sheng raised his head and smiled. I went out to do something, just came back at night. Miss Han said that if you didn't come back, she would call the police. Hao Lei sighed. He had been pressured by Miss Han for the past 2 days. She kept asking him to contact Qin Sheng. Chang Baji obviously felt that Qin Sheng had something on his mind, so he asked directly, Look at you, what happened? Qin Sheng put out the cigarette butt and let out a long sigh. Indeed, something happened, and it's a tricky thing. I might have to get out of Shanghai. Chapter 147. Chapter 147. Awesome. I've been so tired these few days. I really don't know why so many people are getting married in May. I'm either attending a wedding or on my way to a wedding. I'm drunk. Chang Baji and Hao Lei could not help but think about what had happened that made Qin Sheng so afraid, and even said that he might leave Shanghai. Obviously, Qin Sheng must have offended some big shots. Only in this case would he have to leave Shanghai. Chang Baji and Hao Lei thought to themselves. Chang Baji, who was astute and circumspect, asked very calmly. There's always a solution to everything. Even if we take 10,000 steps back, as long as there is life, there is hope. China is so big, there must be a place for you to stay. So tell us what's the matter first, and we will help you analyze it. Before he knew what was going on, he could not say anything. In many people's eyes, especially those big shots, men who valued women too much would not be able to achieve anything. But sometimes, there would always be a powerful woman behind a successful man. 2.5 years ago, I met a woman when I was traveling. 2.5 years ago, I met a woman when I was traveling. We went through a lot of things together, and I fell in love with her at that time. Later on, we separated. We both had our own paths to walk. When we parted, I said that if I met you again one day, I would definitely pursue you. At that time, she acquiesced. However, we never contacted each other in the past 2 years. Qin Sheng slowly told his story with Lin Su. Hale looked like he was watching a melon. Don't tell me that you met again? Although we didn't contact each other, I couldn't forget her in my heart. Maybe there will be an echo if you keep thinking about her. Some time ago, God let me meet her, so I fulfilled my promise and started to pursue her without hesitation. Maybe she still has feelings for me and allowed me to pursue her. Just tonight, at her birthday party, she agreed to be my girlfriend, Qin Sheng said with a smile. Hale was confused. This is a good thing. Why did you say that you got into trouble? But do you know who her #1 protector is? Also my #1 love rival? Qin Sheng looked up at Hale and smiled bitterly. Hale was confused. Who? Yin Chaozong from the Yin family, Qin Sheng answered slowly. Hale was dumbfounded. F***CK, you're playing with fire. I finally understand what's going on. It turns out that you've stolen young Master Yan's woman. No wonder you said those words, Chang Baji, who had been silent all this while, said with relief. Qin Sheng said helplessly, how would I know that she is the woman that Yin Chaozong likes? What's more, it didn't occur to me that her family is also not simple. According to what she said, the two families want to unite by marriage, and both of them are quite optimistic about this marriage. Now that I've intervened, do you think that I'm in trouble? What does she mean? Hao Lei asked with concern. A woman who could be liked by the young master of the Yin family was definitely not an ordinary woman. Qin Sheng explained, she has agreed to be my girlfriend. What do you think? She doesn't like Yin Chaozong, nor is she willing to sacrifice her own happiness for the benefit of her family. Therefore, she has made all the necessary preparations. This woman is not simple, Hao Lei sighed. Qin Sheng looked at Chang Baji and Hao Lei and said with a heavy heart, tell me, what should I do? Chang Baji and Hao Lei looked at each other. This matter was indeed not simple. If it was not handled well, not only would Qin Sheng have to leave Shanghai in embarrassment, but his life might also be in danger. He had stolen young Master Yan's girlfriend. According to the Yin family style, how could they tolerate it? If Qin Sheng was also an opponent of the same level, they might have some scruples. But in front of the Yin family, Qin Sheng had no ability to fight back at all. How could the Yin family let him go? For a moment, the three of them did not speak. This kind of thing was really hard to say. If I had a choice, I would definitely give up on this woman. Maybe I'm a heartless person. To me, women mean nothing at all. Taking a step back, everyone has to face the reality. The reality is that the weak are prey to the strong, and the strong are king. This is the law of survival for thousands of years. Chang Baji finally opened his mouth. He was telling the truth. Then he continued, Qin Sheng, I know that you are an ambitious man, and also a man who is unwilling to be mediocre. You definitely do not want to be in your current position. You have a long way to go. But if you offend such a strong opponent now, do you think it's a good or bad thing for you? If the Yin family is polite, it's still okay. You may get a beauty and live a normal life. But such a woman, will she be willing to live a normal life with you? Love is ultimately not able to stand the test of time and reality. Secondly, if the Yin family is not polite, even if you leave Shanghai, they will not let you go. No matter how tough your life is, you will not be able to stand the test of such an opponent. Chang Baji's words made Qin Sheng fall into an ice cellar. However, he had already promised Lin Su. He could not give up at this moment. That would not only be a slap to his face, it would also hurt Lin Su's heart. This was not his style. He said, I feel that no matter how powerful the Yin family is, they are not qualified to make you give up on the woman you like. Moreover, this woman is now unswervingly on your side and intends to go through thick and thin with you. This is also your advantage. If a man gives up on the woman he likes for the sake of his future success, I feel that no matter how successful this man is, he will still be a failure. I knew you would say that. You guys are still too young. Life is not just about love. What is life? Life is reality. Chang Baji shook his head and said. Hao Lei immediately retorted, Lao Chang, you are too pessimistic. If life is only about these, then it is really frustrating to live. Moreover, you can't ask Qin Sheng, a man who is not even 30 years old, to do things that only a 50-year-old man would do, right? Maybe he will regret it one day, but at least he will not have any regrets in this life. He likes this woman now. Will he still like her in the future? Didn't he have a girlfriend who he dated for 6 years in the past? They broke up in the end, and now he likes another woman. I have never believed in love, Chang Baji said disapprovingly. The two of them were about to quarrel. Chang Baji naturally had to consider for Qin Sheng's sake. He was already 40 years old. His peers were already in high positions, but he was just starting out. The reason why he followed Qin Sheng to Shanghai was because he wanted to stand firm in Shanghai and stand out in the future. However, Qin Sheng's current crisis was equivalent to strangling everything in the cradle. All right, stop talking. Let me think about it. Qin Sheng waved his hand and stopped the two people who were really quarreling. Maybe he was really too childish. Maybe he was right. Qin Sheng turned around and went back to his room to rest. Chang Baji and Hao Lei looked at each other and left thoughtfully. Hao Lei finally understood why Qin Sheng was unwilling to reconcile with Su Qin and why he did not have any feelings for Han Bing. It turned out that there was someone he liked. What kind of woman could capture Qin Sheng and make him indifferent to beauties like Su Qin and Han Bing? That night, the three people in Shilin Huayuan did not sleep well. Qin Sheng did not sleep at all. This was the first critical period of his life after he returned to Shanghai. Compared to the matter with Han Guoping, this time he was going to face the Yin family directly. Qin Sheng thought about a lot of things. He thought about the things that his grandfather told him when he was young. Although his grandfather was no longer around, he was still like a bright light that guided him forward so that he would not lose himself in the midst of getting lost. The next day, when Qin Sheng woke up, Chang Baji and Hao Lei were already waiting in the living room. Obviously, they were waiting for Qin Sheng's answer. Qin Sheng stood in front of them. Last night, he also thought about the impact of his decision on Chang Baji and Hao Lei. They both followed him to Shanghai. However, in the end, he felt that the biggest impact of this matter would be him. Even if the Yin family took revenge, they would not do anything to them. I've decided, Qin Sheng said in a deep voice. Chang Baji and Hao Lei looked serious, waiting for Qin Sheng to reveal his answer. Give up or persist. Even if it's a bottomless abyss, I will never retreat, Qin Sheng said slowly. Hearing this answer, Hao Lei's face was full of excitement. He absolutely supported Qin Sheng. No matter what happened in the future, he would also help Qin Sheng to get through the crisis. A man should be like this. A woman had already given her life to you. If you were still indecisive, she would really be bitterly disappointed. This is the Qin Sheng I know, Hao Lei laughed out loud. Chang Baji sighed helplessly. In the end, he could only say, forget it. Since this is your plan, there's nothing I can do. Let's fight with the Yin family and see if we can survive. At the very least, we can exchange a life for a life. Leave this kind of thing to me when the time comes. Qin Sheng could understand Hao Lei's reaction. However, Chang Baji's words made Qin Sheng very surprised. He originally thought that after he made such a decision, Chang Baji might be very disappointed and was more likely to keep a distance from him or leave him. However, Chang Baji still supported him. Uncle Chang, Qin Sheng said very excitedly. Chang Baji knew what Qin Sheng wanted to say. He laughed and said, my life is cheap. Since we came to Shanghai, The three of us have been comrades in the same boat. I can't abandon the two of you at this time. This is also not my style. Otherwise, my master will jump up and scold you." Qin Sheng laughed out loud. Chang Baji and Hao Lei both went to work. They reminded Qin Sheng to contact them at any time if there were any signs of trouble. He must not put himself in a desperate situation. Qin Sheng also agreed gladly. On the other hand, Hao Lei was worried about how he was going to face Han Bing. When it came to matters of the heart, he could not control anyone's thoughts. Everyone could see that Han Bing liked Qin Sheng. Before he left, Hao Lei reminded him not to forget to call Han Bing to tell her that he was back. Xiaoding's Aston Martin was too eye-catching. Qin Sheng had to send the car to Xiaoding first. This guy had just woken up and was preparing to go to the company. Although Xiaoding looked like a playboy usually, he was quite business-minded. He handled the company's affairs in an orderly manner. If this guy was allowed to go all out, he would probably be a great entrepreneur. After Xiaoding saw Qin Sheng, he was naturally concerned about what happened last night. He did not dare to call Qin Sheng for fear of disturbing the two of them. Now that he saw Qin Sheng, Xiaoding naturally asked, "Boss, quickly tell me what happened. Was the goddess touched?" "What do you think?" Qin Sheng deliberately kept him in suspense. Seeing Qin Sheng's arrogant look, Xiaoding seemed to already know the result. He laughed and said, "Seems like it's going well. I guess it won't be long before you can win a goddess' heart." "Not long." Qin Sheng shook his head and smiled. Xiaoding was a little confused. He frowned and said, "What do you mean?" "Lin Su agreed to be my girlfriend last night," Qin Sheng said truthfully. After all, without Xiaoding, he would not have met Lin Su again. Xiaoding could be considered as a matchmaker between him and Lin Su. Chapter 148. Here comes the opportunity in the eyes of Xiaoding, who had seen all the beauties in the world for many years. Lin Su could be called a top-grade beauty. Otherwise, how could he treat her as a goddess? He was a man who never took women seriously. For this reason, he even shamelessly pursued Lin Su. However, even after using all kinds of martial arts, Lin Su did not even want to see him, let alone other things. In the end, he could only give up. Who knew that Qin Sheng actually knew Lin Su? After Xiaoding gave up, Qin Sheng chased after Lin Su without any hesitation. To be honest, it was not that Xiaoding looked down on Qin Sheng. After all, in today's society, one had to face the reality of love first. The reason why he could not change girlfriends repeatedly was because of his family background and power and wealth. Otherwise, with his bad looks, how many beauties could he chase after? As for Qin Sheng, he was indeed outstanding, but also somewhat ordinary. Facing a beauty of Lin Su's level, he had no advantage at all. It was because they knew each other, but Xiaoding really did not think highly of him. However, as Qin Sheng and Lin Su got to know each other, Xiaoding was shocked. The goddess actually liked Qin Sheng very much. Qin Sheng accompanied her on dates, shopping, and so on. Now, she even agreed to be Qin Sheng's girlfriend. At this moment, Xiaoding really admitted defeat to Qin Sheng. This was a F***king big shot who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. He quietly won over the goddess. Damn, what kind of society was this? Xiaoding was shocked by this news for a long time. He thought that if he was a top player, then wouldn't Qin Sheng be an elite player? He did not even make a move, but once he made a move, he would definitely win. After Xiaoding came back to his senses, he instantly thought of Yin Chaozong. This was more or less the reason why he gave up on Lin Su. He did not want to face the deep-rooted Yin family in Shanghai. However, now that Qin Sheng had pursued Lin Su, it meant that he would have to face Yin Chaozong directly. Therefore, he was worried and said, "Boss, what do you plan to do with the goddess's guardian, Yin Chaozong?" Since last night, Qin Sheng had faced this problem several times. It was really a little annoying. He casually said, "You don't have to worry about this. I have my ways." "That's good. Anyway, be careful. If you need help, just tell me," Xiaoding said happily. Qin Sheng nodded and said, "Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I have to go. Let's have dinner together another day." Qin Sheng returned to Shilin Huayuan first and drove the Audi A6L, which was provided by Shangshan Ruoshui, to Lu Jiazhui's central apartment. It was already 8 o'clock. According to Lin Su's work and rest habits, she had already gotten up. It was estimated that she had not had breakfast yet. When he was about to arrive at their community, Qin Sheng called Lin Su and asked what she and the two children wanted to eat. Lin Su smiled and replied, "I've already bought it. Hurry up and come up." It was a simple sentence, but it warmed Qin Sheng's heart in this cold winter morning. He quickly parked the car and went upstairs. As soon as they entered the door, Lin Su took the slippers for Qin Sheng and said, "Is it very cold outside today?" The weather forecast said it's -3 degrees Celsius. In the past, in the eyes of outsiders, she was a goddess who was aloof from worldly affairs. Now, she was like a little woman living at home. This kind of contrast made Qin Sheng unable to come to his senses for a while. He said blankly, "Yes, it's quite cold." At home, Lin Su wore simple clothes, loose pajamas and cotton slippers. Her hair was tied up casually. This was her real side. Qin Sheng subconsciously hugged Lin Su's waist. Lin Su was shocked and almost screamed. After all, she was not used to the life of a boyfriend. She just slowly got used to it. "I thought yesterday was a dream," Qin Sheng said gently. Lin Su said affectionately, "Then keep this dream going. It's better not to wake up." At this time, Qin Sheng really wanted to kiss Lin Su's tempting lips. But thinking of the two little girls, he finally gave up. He was brought to the dining room by Lin Su. The table was already filled with a sumptuous breakfast, orange juice, milk, bread, and so on. Lin Su ran into the guest room and woke the two little girls up. After a while, they came out and greeted Qin Sheng politely. Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Be good. Hurry up and eat breakfast. After eating, I'll take you out to play." The two little girls were looking forward to it. It was their first time coming to a big city like Shanghai. Sitting in the Aston Martin yesterday, their eyes almost did not leave the window. They were full of curiosity about everything in this city. Especially when they arrived at the Bund, they were even more shocked, and their eyes were full of longing for the future. After eating breakfast, Lin Su slightly dressed up and changed her clothes. Then, they set off with the two little girls. Qin Sheng's task was to be a full-time driver and a coolie. However, he enjoyed it. This was the first time he went out as Lin Su's boyfriend. The pride in his heart could not be compared with anything else. The first place they went to was naturally the sightseeing hall on the top of a newly built Shanghai Center building. From there, they could overlook the whole of Shanghai. Qin Sheng and Lin Su had never been there before. At first, the two little girls were very excited. When they went up, they were a little scared. After all, there was a transparent glass under their feet. Although there was no need to consider the safety of the glass, the two little girls did not know that. After all, there was a height of nearly 600 meters below them. Ordinary people would be very scared standing here, not to mention the two little girls who had never seen the market. Fortunately, they did not have acrophobia. Otherwise, they would not dare to go up. In the end, after being coaxed by Qin Sheng and Lin Su, they finally got used to it. Lin Su was a little afraid of acrophobia, but it was not very serious. She kept holding Qin Sheng's hand tightly. In the end, Qin Sheng even held Lin Su's waist scrupulously. He took a lot of advantage of her. After coming out of the Shanghai Center building, they strolled around the Oriental Pearl Tower for a while and casually found a decent restaurant to have their lunch. In the end, Qin Sheng and Lin Su brought the two little girls straight to the highlight of the day, which was Disneyland. Any child would like this place. Disneyland was huge. Even though it was from noon to evening, they still only visited a part of it. After all, they did not know when the two little girls would come to Shanghai again. Therefore, they could only choose some classic attractions. Qin Sheng and Lin Su were half-dead tired, but the two little girls were full of energy. They did not feel tired at all. A few of them played until the park was about to close before they left. Lin Su picked a restaurant with Shanghai characteristics for dinner. The food was all local Shanghai snacks. The two little girls were very hungry, so they buried their heads and only cared about eating. Qin Sheng was about the same as them. Lin Su ate a few mouthfuls and was full. She had been maintaining her figure and weight, so she would definitely not overeat. Therefore, she just watched them eat with a smile on her face. Lin Su quite liked this kind of feeling. It was simple, relaxed, and warm. She was not like the past, when she always had to pretend to be a cold goddess in front of outsiders. After dinner, it was still early. Lin Su and Qin Sheng brought the two little girls to watch a movie. It was a light and funny comedy. The two little girls ate popcorn and drank Coke and watched it with great interest. The reason why Lin Su did this was to let them enjoy the life that people of the same age should have. It also made them study hard and live the same life in the future. After watching the movie, it was already 12 o'clock. Qin Sheng sent them to the community and went back. He was also very tired today. He had to continue tomorrow, so he had to rest early to maintain his strength. In this way, the two little girls stayed in Shanghai for 2 days. Qin Sheng and Lin Su brought them to finish the 2 days. These 2 days really made Qin Sheng and Lin Su very tired. Qin Sheng was even worse. He did not have a good rest in the past few days and was really a little tired. However, he was the one who pretended to be cool, so he could only finish the pretense with tears in his eyes. On the morning of the 3rd day, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji arrived at Lu Jiazui Central Apartment early. This morning, they were going to send the two little girls back to Sichuan. Last night, Qin Sheng told Chang Baji that he still had to take 2 days off. Chang Baji naturally agreed. Anyway, during this period of time, Shangshan Ruoshui was also deserted. However, Mizzen was quite dissatisfied. However, Chang Baji felt that Qin Sheng's situation was a little dangerous, so he took the initiative to accompany Qin Sheng to Sichuan. Anyway, they would go today and come back tomorrow. Initially, Qin Sheng thought that it would be fine. Later on, after thinking carefully, he thought that Chang Baji was right. It was better to prevent accidents from happening. After waiting outside the community for more than 10 minutes, Lin Su came out with the two little girls. She even pulled a suitcase, which was filled with new clothes and food that Lin Su bought for them when they went shopping yesterday. Lin Su really treated them as her younger sisters. After waiting for Lin Su to come closer, Qin Sheng took the lead to get out of the car. Chang Baji followed closely behind. He also wanted to see what kind of woman could make Qin Sheng so obsessed that he would risk offending the Yin family to be with her. Today, Lin Su was especially elegant. Because she had to rush back to attend a meeting after sending the two little girls, she was dressed more formally. She was wearing a business suit inside and a gray woolen coat outside. After seeing Lin Su, Chang Baji finally understood that Lin Su was indeed different from others. Even though he was not used to seeing beautiful women, he felt that Lin Su had more elegance and aura, like a lady from a respectable family. This was not something that could be cultivated in a day or two, but it had been accumulated since young. This is Uncle Chang. He will accompany me to Sichuan. Qin Sheng walked to Lin Su and introduced him with a smile. Chang Baji greeted him politely. Chang Baji, I have heard a lot about you from Qin Sheng these 2 days. I really don't know what kind of dog shit luck he has to have found a girlfriend like you. Uncle Chang, you must be joking. Lin Su smiled sweetly. She was a little not used to Chang Baji's style. Qin Sheng took the suitcase and said, All right, it's too cold outside. Let's get in the car first. Lin Su accompanied them to the airport. At that time, she could drive the car back and go to the airport to pick Qin Sheng up tomorrow. Just when Qin Sheng and the others were going to the airport, Feng He, who had been watching Qin Sheng closely, could not wait to call Yin Chaozong. He knew that the opportunity had come, and he had to ask young master for instructions. After the call went through, before Yin Chaozong could say anything, Feng He said bluntly, Young master, the opportunity is here. Feng He sneered and said, The opportunity to get rid of that man. What do you mean? Yin Chaozong asked excitedly and curiously. Feng He explained, he wants to send the two little girls back to Sichuan. According to the information we found, the two girls' home is in the remote mountainous area in the southwest of Sichuan. Isn't this an opportunity for us? After listening, Yin Chaozong finally understood what Feng He meant. After thinking for a while, he felt that this was indeed an opportunity. In the remote mountainous area, the death of a person was like a stone sinking into the sea. It was not like a place like Shanghai, where any movement would be known by the whole city. This was Qin Sheng who took the initiative to come to him. How could he not cherish it? Chapter 149. Definitely wanted there was a way out for him, but he chose to barge into hell. To Yin Xiaozong, this was an opportunity that came knocking on his door. How could he miss it? Qin Sheng insisted on going to such a remote place. If he did not make a move now, when Qin Sheng returned to Shanghai, it would be too difficult to find another opportunity. By then, he could only use other methods to deal with Qin Sheng. However, this would not solve the root of the problem and would not achieve the most ideal effect. In order to kill Qin Sheng in one shot, Feng He and Uncle Zhen went to Sichuan personally. With their abilities, unless Qin Sheng was an immortal, there was really no possibility of him surviving. Outside the security checkpoint of Pudong International Airport, Xu Wen and Xu Yi held Lin Su's hands reluctantly. The experience of these 2 days might be nothing to ordinary people, but to them, it would be unforgettable. When they were in their 70s or 80s one day, they would be able to recall everything that they had experienced in these 2 days. Perhaps only they knew how big the impact was in their hearts. If there's time in the future, I'll bring you guys over to play again. Study hard and strive to study in Shanghai University. By then, you can be with me every day. Lin Su patted Xu Wen and Xu Yi's head and comforted them with a smile. She knew that they could not bear to leave her in this city. After all, they were going back to that remote mountainous area. Xu Wen clenched her teeth and said, "Sister, don't worry, I'll definitely study hard. This year, I want to be the first in the whole year." "Me too." Xu Yi heard her sister's words and quickly expressed her confidence. Lin Su smiled faintly and said, "I believe you guys." After chatting with the two sisters for a while, Lin Su looked at Qin Sheng, who had just become her boyfriend. She patted the dust on Qin Sheng's shoulder lightly and said gently, "Go early and come back early. Be careful on the road. Call me if anything happens." Qin Sheng held Lin Su's hand and said, "Okay, I'll be back on time tomorrow night. Don't miss me too much." "Narcissist, who would miss you?" Lin Su said embarrassedly. After all, there were outsiders present. Qin Sheng took an inch and said, "You see, I'm going to leave soon. Shouldn't you give me a reward?" "What reward?" Lin Su asked confusedly. Qin Sheng deliberately showed the side of his face and pointed there with his finger. His meaning was self-evident. Lin Su was obviously a little embarrassed when Qin Sheng asked her to do such a thing in public. She glared at Qin Sheng. Chang Baji turned around knowingly. Xu Wen and Xu Yi were curiously observing the facilities in the airport. Qin Sheng still did the same thing. He did not intend to give up just like that. Lin Su really did not know what to do with him. After looking around, she tiptoed slightly and leaned forward, quickly leaving a kiss on his cheek. That soft feeling made Qin Sheng a little restless. Qin Sheng held Lin Su in his arms, then let go of her and said, "Let's go." After she finished speaking, she called Chang Baji and brought Xu Wen and Xu Yi to line up at the security checkpoint. Lin Su waited until they passed the security checkpoint before waving her hand and leaving. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji set off. Not long after, Feng He and Uncle Zhen also took the nearest flight to Chengdu. They had already arranged people to keep an eye on Qin Sheng. They caught up later. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were not around. Jiang Xianbang also made new progress in the management of Shangshan Ruoshui. Shui Qingyan was not very interested in taking over Shangshan Ruoshui. She was afraid that it would form an interest group and affect her brother's career. At the moment, there was no one around who was willing to take over Shangshan Ruoshui. After all, these people did not have the ability to manage this place well. Shangshan Ruoshui's advantage was its human resources. However, without that ability, it would obviously lose more than it gained. Shui Qingyan was not interested. The only buyer of Shangshan Ruoshui was Boss He, one of the 6 VVIP members. This Boss He, who had an extremely special identity and background, was equally powerful as Jiang Xianbang. Naturally, he had the ability to take over Shangshan Ruoshui. Jiang Xianbang was still hesitating and did not make the final decision. When Qin Sheng and Chang Baji arrived at Chengdu, it was already past 10 o'clock. Qin Sheng found the place where he rented the car last time. He had already informed them in advance and rented an SUV. After lunch, the few of them went straight to southwest Sichuan. It was a 10-hour drive from Chengdu to Shuwan and Shuyi school. If they wanted to return to Shanghai tomorrow night, obviously there could not be any delays on the way. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji prepared to take turns driving and go straight to their destination without stopping. They estimated that they would only arrive at about 11 o'clock at night. It was a pity that there was no direct train there, otherwise they could reach earlier. Along the way, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji took turns to rest. Shu Wen and Shu Yi had just started to read at the back. Lin Su had bought quite a few famous books for them. When the two children started to read, their serious state really resembled Qin Sheng's. After the sky turned dark, they only cared about sleeping. The last 2 hours of the journey were basically mountain roads. These mountain roads were very rugged and steep. Fortunately, the investment in the West in recent years was relatively large. The mountain roads had been renovated and the road conditions were much better. If it was a few years ago, no one would dare to drive into the mountains at night. They might fall into the ravine. At 11 o'clock at night, they arrived at Shu Wan and Shu Yi school on time. The school was in a small town. There were junior high schools and senior high schools. Shu Wan and Shu Yi's home was still dozens of miles away from here. This small town was not big. It looked very poor and backward, similar to most of the mountainous areas in the West. The most conspicuous building was the town school. It was also built with the financial support of a group a few years ago. Qin Sheng had already called Shu Wan and Shu Yi's teacher. When he came here, he looked for him directly. When he first arrived here 2 years ago, Qin Sheng had already met him. He could be considered as an old friend. Usually, he was the one who took care of Shu Wan and Shu Yi and kept in touch with Lin Su. If Lin Su had any problems, she would also look for him. This teacher, who had been teaching in the western mountainous areas for 4 years, was called Wang Jian. He was from Suzhou, Jiangsu. His family was not too bad. When he was in university, he had ridden to Tibet with a few friends. That experience had changed his life. Along the way, he had seen too many poor people, especially those who had dropped out of school early. Hence, after graduating from university, he gave up his high-paying job without hesitation and came here to teach. He stayed here for 4 years, dedicating the most brilliant youth of his life to this place. His parents didn't understand, his girlfriend didn't understand, and even his relatives and friends didn't understand. His girlfriend even broke up with him. It wasn't until a few years later that everyone gradually accepted this fact. Some people also started to understand him. At the very least, what Wang Jian was doing was realizing the value of his life, unlike them, who live their lives in a muddled state. After all, there would always be a group of people in this world who didn't want to be part of the world, nor were they willing to pursue those worldly things. All they wanted was a trace of kindness in their hearts. Some people said that they were virtuous. Some people said that they were pretentious. Some people said that they were stupid, but you really had to respect them. At the very least, these things had to be done by someone, and at the very least, you didn't have the courage to do it. Teacher Wang had been waiting at the school gate. There were not many cars in the town. Hence, when he saw a beam of light shining in his direction, Teacher Wang knew that Qin Sheng and Chang Baji had returned. He hurriedly went up to them. After the car stopped, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji hurriedly got off. Qin Sheng said apologetically, "Teacher Wang, it's already so late. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Teacher Wang was tanned and skinny. One must know that in the past, he was fair and fat. After all, in his hometown in Suzhou, he could have lived a very comfortable life for the rest of his life. It was only after he came here that he gradually became like this. It could be seen that he had not suffered for the past few years. Teacher Wang replied very politely, "It's all right. If I don't see you, I won't be able to sleep well. After all, these dozens of kilometers of mountain roads are too dangerous. I'm afraid that something might happen to you guys." "It's been a smooth journey," Qin Sheng replied with a smile. Teacher Wang nodded and said, "That's good. Where are the 2 little girls?" Qin Sheng pointed to the back of the car and smiled. "They're sleeping soundly. I really can't bear to wake them up." "Haha, let me wake them up. After that, I'll send them back to their dormitory to sleep. It'll be more comfortable this way. Teacher Wong laughed. After that, he opened the car door and woke the two little girls up. The two little girls were in a daze and obviously did not want to get up. However, when they saw that it was Teacher Wong, they knew that they had arrived at school. Only then did they put on their clothes and got off the car. Qin Sheng drove the car into the school. He waited in the car for a while. After Teacher Wong sent the two sisters back to their dormitory, he and Chang Baji took their luggage and followed Teacher Wong to his dormitory. After Qin Sheng and the rest entered the school, Feng He and Uncle Zhen already knew. They still needed more than an hour to reach. However, at this moment, they were thinking about what to do. Entering the school, this is not easy. We can't possibly kill someone in the school, right? Uncle Zhen said with a headache. Even if it was Feng He would not be willing to do it. Feng He said thoughtfully, of course not. We have to wait for him to leave the school before we do it. It's not easy to do in the day. It's best if it's at night. No one will know, Uncle Zhen suggested. Chapter 150. It's finally on the shelves. Being on the shelves means a new beginning. The busiest period of May has passed. Next, Old Guan will start his seclusion to write his story. He will not survive if he is not crazy. I hope everyone will subscribe more. The plot will also become more exciting at this time. No matter how powerful the Tiger Men were or how powerful their background was, they would try to avoid as much trouble as possible when doing something. No one was willing to get themselves into trouble, not to mention a thorny matter like killing someone, let alone in a foreign land. To Feng He and Uncle Zhen, the best opportunity was on the only mountain road in and out of the small town. It was a pity that they came more than an hour later than Qin Sheng. Otherwise, it would be the best choice to ambush there earlier. Feng He and Uncle Zhen were prepared to do it themselves. They were not willing to trust anyone and did not want the news to leak out. Hence, they sent people to keep an eye on Qin Sheng's movements in the school while they waited outside the small town for the best opportunity. In the school, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were warming up in Mr. Wong's dormitory. It was already midnight. This small town was terrifyingly quiet. Other than the street lamps, there were only a few lights that were still on. It was the same in the school. At this moment, only the lights in Mr. Wong's dormitory were on. A few years ago, when Mr. Wong first came to the school, their living conditions were really bad. 3 teachers squeezed into a simple dormitory. When winter came, it was really cold. After the new school was built, these teachers' living conditions were changed. Every teacher had their own dormitory. They even installed air conditioners and so on. They could more or less survive the winter. Anyway, the school's expenses were covered by the sponsors. Mr. Wong poured a cup of hot water for Qin Sheng and Chang Baji and took out some snacks. He heard that Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were a little hungry. After all, they had driven for a long time. He was preparing to make some food for them. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji did not have any requests. They each took a bowl of instant noodles. Mr. Wong saw the two of them and was more or less touched. He smiled and said, "It's really hard on you guys. Compared to Mr. Wong, what are we?" Qin Sheng knew what Mr. Wong wanted to say, but he admired Mr. Wong from the bottom of his heart. What he said was also the truth. What they had suffered was nothing. Mr. Wong had stayed here for 4 years. Compared to him, they were really too insignificant. Teacher Wong was a little embarrassed. He was already used to such a life and did not feel that he was very great. He only felt that what he was doing was what he liked to do. That was enough. As for what others thought, he never cared. If a person had to live his life in a way that others didn't want him to live, then he might not be happy in this life. When he was old, he would not know what he was living for. Mr. Wong had already prepared 2 blankets for Qin Sheng and Chang Baji to sleep on the bed. He would make do for the night on the floor. If Qin Sheng did not leave tomorrow, he would stay in the town's guest house. At least the environment would be better than here. Hence, Mr. Wong smiled and said, "Tonight, you can just make do with me. Tomorrow, I will arrange for you to stay in the guest house." Qin Sheng and Chang Baji did not want to stay for too long. They had to go back to Shanghai as soon as possible. Qin Sheng quickly said, "Mr. Wong, don't bother. We will leave after a while." "Leave after a while?" It's so late, where are you going? Mr. Wang was very surprised. Qin Sheng explained, there are a lot of things to do in Shanghai. We have to go back early. Hence, after resting for a while, we will prepare to drive back to Chengdu overnight. We should be able to arrive tomorrow afternoon. Then, we will take a flight back to Shanghai at night. What? You are leaving after a while? Isn't it too rushed? Moreover, it's late at night, and it's all the mountain roads. It's too dangerous. Mr. Wang heard this and quickly pulled Qin Sheng. At night, the mountain roads into the town were rarely used, because there were many car accidents every year, and it was extremely unsafe at night. Qin Sheng said casually, Mr. Wang, don't worry. Both of our driving skills are fine. If we drive slowly, we will take turns. Moreover, we are two big men. There is really nothing to worry about. If there is nothing, I am naturally willing to stay for a few more days. However, there are really too many things to do in Shanghai. Mr. Wang frowned and thought for a while. He felt that it was true. After all, Qin Sheng was not an ordinary person. They had jobs and careers in Shanghai. Qin Sheng's 2 trips to and fro would naturally delay a lot of things. Perhaps this was the reason why he could not wait to go back. If that's the case, then I won't keep you. However, you better be careful and tell me your safety at any time. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep, Mr. Wang said in a deep voice. Qin Sheng hurriedly agreed. They finally reached an agreement on this matter. They talked for a while about the local customs and the practical problems of the children in the school. Mr. Wang said that in the past few years, Lin Su had helped a lot here. She often donated equipment and books to the school, especially clothes for the children. Her charity fund treated this place as the most important point. There had already been close to 1,000 students who had been sponsored. Hence, he admired Lin Su from the bottom of his heart. For a woman to have such a high level and ability, it was really impressive. Last time you left in a hurry, I didn't have time to ask you. How is Lin Su now? She is not young anymore. Shouldn't she consider her personal problems? Every time I ask her on the phone, she says that she's not in a hurry. Maybe the time has not come yet, Mr. Wang said with concern. Actually, he quite liked Lin Su in his heart, but it was just a simple liking and he did not have any improper thoughts. Qin Sheng did not know how to respond to this. He could not possibly say proudly, Qin Sheng is my woman now. Hence, Qin Sheng said politely, about this, next time you call, you will know when you ask her again. Seems like there is a situation. Just tell her honestly, lest I ask her again. At that time, she will say that you should think about yourself first. Mr. Wang laughed out loud. Qin Sheng felt that it was true. At that time, if Lin Su said it, Mr. Wang would feel that he was a little pretentious. Hence, he said honestly, she's my girlfriend now. After Mr. Wang heard this, he was only slightly stunned for a moment. Following closely after, he said in surprise, really? Qin Sheng nodded silently, smiled, and said nothing. Then I really congratulate you. When I first saw you two, I also thought that you two were quite compatible. I thought that you two were a couple at that time. Now that you two are finally together, I hope that I can eat your wedding candies as soon as possible, Mr. Wang said excitedly. Although he was a little disappointed in his heart, he mostly wished them well, because in his eyes, they were both good people. Mr. Wang said excitedly, congratulations. Qin Sheng said firmly, don't worry, Mr. Wang. We will definitely. At that time, you will come to our wedding. All right, then it's settled. It's a deal, Mr. Wang said firmly. After talking about his and Lin Su's matters, Qin Sheng naturally had to care about Mr. Wang's personal matters. Hence, he said, Mr. Wang, what are your plans? Are you going to stay here for the rest of your life? The only person I feel I owe is them. I'm so far away from them. I don't know anything about them, and I can't help them. Luckily, they've understood me in these 2 years. But as a child, I have to be filial. So I plan to stay for another 3 years and return to Suzhou when the 3 years are up. This was something Teacher Wang had considered countless times. Every time, he told himself that he would stay for 1 more year, and then he would go back. But he could not bear to leave this place and these children. In the end, he still continued to stay. Qin Sheng admired Mr. Wang very much. He said in a deep voice, okay, Mr. Wang. 3 years later, I will personally pick you up and go back to Suzhou. In these 3 years, if anything happens to your family, just give me a call, and I will immediately go to help." "Thank you," Mr. Wong said gratefully. After chatting for so long, it was almost time. Chang Baji had been sitting at the side and listening. He almost did not interrupt, except for the simple introduction at the beginning. At this time, he gave Qin Sheng a look and felt that they should leave. Hence, Qin Sheng stood up happily and said, "Mr. Wong, it's getting late. We should go, or it will be too late." "All right, I will not keep you. I will send you out," Mr. Wong quickly stood up and said. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji, who had rested for 2 hours, set off again. Before leaving, Mr. Wong took a lot of mountain specialties and said that they were for him and Lin Su. This was also his only gift, so Qin Sheng naturally accepted it. Mr. Wong sent them all the way to the school gate before turning around and leaving. Opposite the school, the people arranged by Feng, he saw Qin Sheng and Chang Baji coming out of the school and heading east. That was the direction to leave the town. The center of the town was in the west. Hence, he hurriedly called Feng He. When the call went through, he quickly said, "Mr. Feng, they have come out of the school. Looking at the direction they are going, they should be leaving here." "Are you sure?" Feng He, who was originally sleepy, suddenly became alert. That man said without hesitation, "I am sure." "All right." Feng He's face revealed a bloodthirsty smile. After he finished speaking, he directly hung up. Uncle Zhen, who was at the side, was half asleep. When Feng He picked up the call, he woke up. After Feng He hung up, Uncle Zhen hurriedly asked, "What's the situation?" "Sigh, I can only say that this guy's luck is too bad. I originally thought that I would not have a chance tonight. Who knew that this guy would choose to leave the mountain at this time? Isn't this King courting death?" Feng He looked at Uncle Zhen and said proudly. Hearing this, Uncle Zhen was very happy. He did not wait for nothing. "It's time to work," Feng He sneered. At the same time, he started the Jeep Wrangler with excellent performance and headed towards the location that they had chosen long ago. That was where Qin Sheng would be buried. They had just left the town. At this moment, Chang Baji would drive first. When they got on the highway, it would be Qin Sheng's turn, as there were no cars on this mountain road at night. After all, no one would be willing to choose to walk on the mountain road at night. There were not many people here. In the past, robberies happened frequently. Hence, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji did not dare to let their guard down. After walking on a mountain road for half an hour, they were almost past the most dangerous part of the road. As long as they made a turn in front, the rest of the road would be easy. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chang Baji did not think about anything and made a turn normally. When the car lights lit up the road in front, Chang Baji and Qin Sheng almost simultaneously realized that there was an off-road vehicle parked in the middle of the road, not far away. It was so late at night. Whose car will be parked here? Could it be that it broke down, or that they were seeing things? Or was there a supernatural incident? Just when they were feeling puzzled, the off-road vehicle suddenly started. The headlights were switched on instantly. The glaring light made them unable to open their eyes. Chapter 151. Chapter 151. How dare you touch my son? Please subscribe. My new book has just been released. I need everyone's subscription support. Please subscribe support. Drivers all knew that they were most afraid of cars coming at them at night with their high beams on. Most car accidents at night were caused by the high beams, and at this moment, the SUV opposite them was coming towards Qin Sheng and them with its high beams on. They were just an ordinary Guangzhou automobile Trunkchi GS5. Although they could not tell what kind of car the SUV opposite them was, it was obvious that it had been modified. Just by looking at the special bumper in front, they could tell that if the two really crashed into each other, the consequences would be obvious. At this moment, Chang Baji and Qin Sheng did not speak. No matter how stupid they were, they knew that they were coming for them. To be more precise, they were coming for Qin Sheng. The first possibility that came to Qin Sheng's mind was Yin Chaozong. The only person who could know his route so accurately was Yin Chaozong, who had been keeping an eye on him recently. Then it could be those old enemies, such as the Zhang and Song families. Anyway, After he told the Zhang and Song families the location of the ancient jade, he did not know which family got in the end. Maybe the one who did not get it would be angry and kill him to vent his anger. Qin Sheng could not be bothered to think about these things anymore. The most important thing now was how to avoid this crisis. The mountain road was the narrowest here. It was impossible to go through. Moreover, the other party would not let them pass just like that, so they could only reverse. Chang Baji's driving skills were needless to say. There was once when he accompanied his boss to Zhongnan Mountains to escape the summer heat. They were set up by their enemies. They drove down Zhongnan Mountains at night and even drifted at a few special bends. Chang Baji, who was driving, was fine, but the boss who was sitting in the car was so scared that his face turned pale. After getting out of the car, he vomited all over the place. Chang Baji did not even think about it. He subconsciously put the gear in reverse and stepped on the accelerator to retreat. The SUV opposite them had already stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. Chang Baji did not dare to step on the accelerator because there was a bend behind them. If they were not careful, they would fall into the ravine together with Qin Sheng. In the Jeep Wrangler, Feng He's eyes were very fiery. His goal was to directly knock Qin Sheng's SUV out of the ravine. This way, he could solve all his problems. How simple and direct. The Jeep Wrangler charged forward recklessly, and the Trumpchi GS5 was very careful. Hence, the situation was a little precarious. Seeing that the distance between them was getting closer and closer, the Trumpchi GS5 had no time to turn around at all. Jump out of the car. Chang Baji assessed the situation and knew that if he didn't make a choice, the car would crash and both of them would die. On the left was a cliff, and on the right was a ravine. Chang Baji turned the steering wheel, forming a tricky angle where the front of the car was stuck to the cliff. When the time came, even if they were hit by the off-road vehicle, they would only hit the cliff and not the ravine. When the legendary GS5 had just stopped and the engine was still running, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji opened the car door and jumped out at almost the same time. At this time, the shepherding jeep had also rushed over. Qin Sheng, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, was leaning against the cliff, while Chang Baji, who was driving, was leaning against the ravine. It could be said that Chang Baji was putting himself in danger. If there was a slight mistake, he would very likely be hit to death by the shepherding jeep. After Qin Sheng got out of the car, he hurriedly ran backward, leaving enough space to buffer the distance between the two cars. He had enough time to react, but Chang Baji's time was more tight. When he got out of the car, the Wrangler was already in front of him. He couldn't care less and used all his strength to rush forward. With a bang, the Jeep Wrangler hit the Trumpchi GS5. Such a loud collision sound reverberated through the whole mountain. The front of the Trumpchi GS5 had been seriously deformed, and the side that was stuck close to the cliff had even more intense sparks. That ear-piercing sound was enough to show the speed and strength of the Wrangler. At the moment of the collision, Chang Baji had just landed on the ground. He took advantage of the momentum and rolled twice. The butt of the legendary GS5 brushed past him and almost hit him. This process was really extremely dangerous. If there was a slight mistake, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji would have to die here tonight. If Chang Baji had not judged the situation and made the judgment in advance, felt that they could not make a turn and escape in time before the Wrangler rushed over, and then chose to abandon the car decisively, they might really have been hit into the ravine. This ravine was not low. If they really fell down, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the Jeep Wrangler, Feng He, who was driving, and Uncle Zhen, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, were completely fine. This modified Wrangler was not stressed at all. It was a pity that the other party's reaction speed was too fast. They actually chose to reverse and escape in an instant. Even so, Feng He felt that it was futile. However, he did not expect that they would choose to abandon the car and escape after retreating for a few meters. This was also something that he did not expect at all. The Jeep Wrangler pushed the Trumpchi GS5 against the cliff. The scene was very tragic. Feng He was the first to get out of the car, and Uncle Zhen followed closely behind. Both of them were holding self-made machetes in their hands. They were given to them by Sichuan on the way here. Although they looked ordinary, their lethality was shocking. After Qin Sheng and Chang Baji got up, they both hid the side of the turn. Both of them had a tacit understanding and were ready to retreat at any time. In this kind of place, they did not intend to fight to the death with the other party. After all, they still did not know how many people the other party had and what kind of weapons they had. If they had heavy weapons, then they had to be careful. Come out. This place is in the middle of nowhere. You guys can't escape anywhere. Feng He said with a face full of disdain. At the same time, he slowly approached the Trumpchi GS5. Qin Sheng could tell that this voice was a little familiar, but he did not know who it was. After all, he had only met Feng He once. It was at the Peace Hotel when Feng He blocked his way. Qin Sheng gestured to Chang Baji, and the two of them slowly retreated. Indeed, as the other party said, the Trumpchi GS5 was probably damaged. Even if it was not damaged, they would not have the time to get in the car and leave. However, the other party's Wrangler was in perfect condition. Unless they jumped into this ravine, otherwise, they would be easily caught. Uncle Zhen and Feng He, one on the left and one on the right, advanced forward in a triangular formation. When they got close to the Trumpchi GS5, Feng He suddenly rolled forward while Uncle Zhen covered him, afraid that the other party would attack from the side. However, what they expected did not happen. There was no one behind the Trumpchi GS5. Feng He frowned slightly and said, "This is meaningless, and it won't change your ending. If you want to die comfortably, then come out obediently." Chang Baji had an idea. He immediately took off his jacket and threw it out. What he was most worried about was that the other party had a gun. That would be difficult. If they did not have a gun, with Qin Sheng and his strength, they would at least have a chance to fight to the death. Similarly, what they expected did not happen. Obviously, the other party did not have a gun. Otherwise, they would have definitely heard the gunshots. If they heard the gunshots, the two of them only had one choice, which was to run. Ha! To deal with you guys, I don't need to use that thing. Feng He saw the jacket that was thrown out and knew what the other party meant. He did not expect them to be as timid as a mouse. Since the other party did not have a gun, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji had nothing to be afraid of. Even if they were to die, they would die like a man. They would not die in such a cowardly way. Therefore, Chang Baji and Qin Sheng stood out without hesitation. Although it was a cold winter, the moon in the night sky was so bright. After Qin Sheng and Chang Baji came out, he saw the other party's silhouette clearly. It was just as he thought, Yin Chaozong's lackeys. However, they were lucky that there were only two of them, so they were considered to be evenly matched. "It really is you guys," Qin Sheng sneered. Feng He said faintly, "It seems that you have already guessed it. In that case, it will save us trouble. When you die, you will also know who killed you. Remember this life's lesson. In your next life, don't offend people that you should not offend. Let's talk about the next life. I haven't lived enough in this life. If you want me to die, you are looking down on me," Qin Sheng said confidently. Feng He said disdainfully, "You are already at death's door, and you are still so stubborn. I don't know what Miss Lin likes about you. You really don't know what's good for you. What Lin Su likes about me, that's my business. It has nothing to do with you. Yin Chaozong is also a coward. If you have the ability, compete fairly. Play dirty and kill people to keep them quiet. The Yin family is really unscrupulous," Qin Sheng said sarcastically. Feng He was raised by the Yin family. He hated people insulting the Yin family the most. Therefore, he was completely infuriated by Qin Sheng. He said angrily, "Don't worry, I will definitely tear that stupid mouth of yours to pieces later. Who asked you to talk nonsense again? Come on, whoever is afraid of you is a grandson." Qin Sheng was also angry. He cursed the people next door. They really played dirty. They actually ran thousands of miles away to chase after him. It was still the same thing. As long as he could go back alive, he would definitely get back at them. Feng He raised the machete in his hand. Under the moonlight, it shone with a cold light. Then, he rushed towards Qin Sheng without hesitation. Although Qin Sheng did not have a weapon in his hand, he had never been afraid before. On the other side, Uncle Zhen and Chang Baji remained silent. They allowed Qin Sheng and Feng He to fight with words. Now that they had started to fight, Uncle Zhen and Changbaji were also prepared to take action. The two of them looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Both of them could feel that the other party was not simple. Therefore, they had been using silence. When Qin Sheng and Feng He were about to fight, the two of them acted almost at the same time. The battle that had been brewing for a whole day finally erupted at this moment. It was really hard to tell who would win. At the same time, on Chang'an Street in Suzhou City, a Mercedes-Benz Maybach was turning from West Chang'an Street to Wang Fujing Street. The middle-aged man, sitting in the back, reeked of alcohol. He closed his eyes and was a little sleepy. It was obvious that he had just finished a drinking session. He probably drank at least 2 rounds. Otherwise, he would not have come back so late. During tonight's drinking session, the middle-aged man was more or less unhappy. It was because of a simple sentence. Although it was just a joke between friends, the speaker did not mean it. That sentence was, although I, Fan Jinchuan, am not doing as well as you, Qin Chang'an, I have 2 sons. If it was in the past, Qin Chang'an would definitely not take such words seriously. However, now that he had found his sons, these words made Qin Chang'an feel a little uncomfortable. He could not help but think, was it right for him to do so? Gongsun, how is that guy recently? Qin Chang'an opened his eyes and asked casually. In the Mercedes-Benz Maybach, other than Qin Chang'an, who was sitting in the back, there was only a strong man driving. The strong man, whose surname was Gongsun, was stunned. Then he understood what his master meant. He laughed out loud and said, "Young master is in love recently." In love? Qin Chang'an said in surprise. He knew about this guy's past relationship. He did not say much about it. When one was young, who had not been in love? Gongsun nodded silently and said, "Yes, but young master is in a bit of danger recently." What do you mean? Qin Chang'an was a little confused. Young master's girlfriend is called Lin Su. She is the daughter of Lin Chongting from the Lin family in Ningbo. The Lin family in Ningbo and the Yin family in Shanghai were originally going to unite by marriage. Yin Xiaozong from the Yin family also likes Lin Su. Now that young master has taken the initiative, do you think the Yin family will let young master go? Gongsun explained slowly. Qin Chang'an frowned and thought for a few seconds. He said, "Does this guy really not know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is? Is the Yin family someone he can offend?" "You are right. That's why I've been sending people to keep an eye on young master. I am afraid that something bad will happen to him. I was planning to report to you when you are sober tomorrow." Gongsun looked back at Qin Chang'an, who was sitting in the back seat, and said with some worry. Gongsun originally thought that Qin Chang'an would scold young master. After all, in Qin Chang'an's eyes, it was obviously not a worthwhile deal to offend a powerful family for a woman. Chapter 152. Let me do it. Today, I attended the last wedding of this month. From the end of last month to today, I have attended more than a dozen weddings. I'm on the move almost every day. I'm really exhausted. I will leave Xi'an tomorrow. If nothing goes wrong, I will keep the schedule the day after tomorrow. I hope you can forgive me. Qin Chang'an, an influential man in Suzhou City, a low-key tycoon hidden in Jianghu, was also known as the top red-top businessman and the #1 broker. Those who could drink with him at the same table must have at least a net worth of billions, and their official positions must be at least above the vice ministerial level. However, this powerful tycoon also had unknown bitterness. That was, his wife, who was famous in the capital, died mysteriously. Then, his father, who was known as a half-immortal, suddenly took his son to a faraway place. These things hit him particularly hard, which was also the biggest mystery about him. Later, this tycoon married the daughter of a rich family. Since then, his luck had been soaring, and he had no more setbacks. However, no matter how far he climbed, he would always be criticized by others. That was, he had no one to carry on his family line. His ex-wife left a son and a daughter. The daughter was not bad, but the son had been missing for more than 20 years, and there had been no news of him until now. People thought that he might have already disappeared. No matter how powerful his subsequent wife's background was, she could not give birth to a son or a daughter. She was often laughed at behind her back. In recent years, she became a vegetarian, prayed to Buddha, and devoted herself to doing good. In the past 20 years, Qin Chang'an had tried many ways to find his father and son, but he could not find them. He knew the old master's ability. It was too difficult to find them so easily. It was not until 2 years ago that he got the news from an old man that the old master had passed away. Qin Chang'an felt a little pity and regret. After all, he was his father. No matter how stiff the relationship was, his father was still his father. Any son would feel uncomfortable if he wanted to raise his son, but his parents were not there. But finally, Qin Chang'an accepted it calmly. After knowing the news of his father, he naturally knew the news of his son. However, the boy suddenly disappeared like the old master. He tried every means to inquire and finally found him. However, he did not see his son for more than 20 years until a few months ago. It would be a lie to say that he did not miss him. After all, he was his own flesh and blood. However, Qin Chang'an thought more. He did not directly acknowledge his son. All the men in the Qin family were heroes. If he acknowledged his son now, he would have to face too many things. Did he have the ability? Therefore, Qin Chang'an wanted to know what kind of person he was and whether he could take the responsibility of the Qin family. However, tonight, he was criticized again. Qin Chang'an was indeed a little unhappy. He could not help but wonder if what he did was right and if he was too selfish. Then, he heard Gong Suin's report. Qin Chang'an could not help but lose his temper with the help of alcohol. If the Yin family, which was based in Shanghai and could not squeeze into the big circle of Suzhou City, really dared to touch his son, he would definitely not spare them. When Gong's son heard this, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. It was obvious that although Master was dissatisfied with young Master on the surface, he still favored young Master from the bottom of his heart. This was how a father should be. He could give you freedom, but he could definitely support the sky above your head. However, they did not know that at this moment, Qin Sheng was experiencing a moment of life and death. The Yin family did not know that this Phoenix man from Shi and had such a powerful background. If they had known that he was Qin Chang'an's son, they could only swallow their grievances. Both Qin Sheng and Chang Baji were not ordinary people. Feng had lived in the Yin family since he was young and was groomed as Yin Chaozong's right-hand man by the Yin family. He had visited many famous teachers and was even proficient in Sanda and Muay Thai. As for Uncle Zhen, he was groomed by the old master. It went without saying how strong he was. Otherwise, Feng He and Uncle Zhen would not have come all the way to the southwest of Sichuan with just the two of them, just to get rid of Qin Sheng, this huge threat. Feng He, who was facing Qin Sheng, held a specially made machete in his hand. Although the machete looked rough, it was extremely sharp. If one was really cut by it, one's skin and flesh would be torn apart no matter what. Qin Sheng faced it head-on. He was going all out tonight. It was impossible to escape. Who asked the environment to be so bad? If the conditions allowed it, Qin Sheng would not be so impulsive. Hence, it was either you die or I die tonight. Anyway, the result would be different. Qin Sheng could only fight with his life. Because he wanted to live, he did not want to die. In the blink of an eye, Feng He was already in front of Qin Sheng. The machete in his hand slashed towards Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng hurriedly leaned his body against the cliff and dodged. He wanted to go straight for Feng He's face. Feng He was not an ordinary person at all. With a slight shake of his wrist, the machete in his hand was placed horizontally. He took the opportunity to slash towards Qin Sheng's neck. Feng He had the advantage. Qin Sheng did not have the chance to resist. He could only continue to bend his waist and pounce forward to dodge. Feng He saw that his attack did not hit, so he retracted his machete and continued to slash. Sparks were seen directly on the cliff. Qin Sheng, who had just landed on the ground, had not yet stabilized himself. Feng He caught up with him. A beautiful sword move turned his wrist and twisted flower. Qin Sheng did not expect it. The clothes on Qin Sheng's shoulder were directly cut. Fortunately, Qin Sheng reacted quickly. It was just a scratch. Otherwise, his shoulder might have been crippled. Qin Sheng took a few steps back. He covered his shoulder and stared at Feng He. He scolded in his heart, This guy is really F***king powerful. He should be the most threatening opponent I have met since I returned to Shanghai. I heard that you defeated Yang Deng and spared his life. Now it seems that you were just SOSO. Feng He, who had the upper hand, said proudly. He did not take Qin Sheng seriously at all. Qin Sheng scolded angrily. F***CKU. If you have the ability, put down the machete and fight one-on-one. If I am afraid of you, I am your grandson. You are an ignorant man. I am here to take your life today. I am not here to compete with you. I will make it easy. Feng He did not fall for this trick at all. He just wanted to finish the fight quickly and then pack up and go back to Shanghai. Qin Sheng was also angry. He directly took off his coat and scolded. You want my life? You are not qualified enough. After saying that, Qin Sheng rushed forward again. Just now, Qin Sheng was more or less testing Feng He's ability and was more or less conservative. Now that he knew Feng He's ability, although he was at a disadvantage, Qin Sheng knew what to do. On the other side, Chang Baji and Uncle Zhen were already engaged in a fierce battle. On the other side, Chang Baji and Uncle Zhen were already locked in a fierce battle. Uncle Zhen's Jinluan was flourishing. His abilities were slightly weaker than Chang Baji's, but he had a weapon in his hand. Chang Baji was obviously at a disadvantage and was constantly being suppressed. However, Chang Baji was not impatient at all. He kept going according to Uncle Zhen's rhythm. When Uncle Zhen swung the machete towards his thigh, Chang Baji suddenly turned around nimbly. Following that, his left leg's heel did not follow the pattern and directly kicked the back of Uncle Zhen's machete. Chang Baji's strength was not simple. Uncle Zhen only felt the back of his hand go numb from the impact. Before he could regain his senses, Chang Baji had already done a lightning-fast somersault and directly kicked the air with his leg. Uncle Zhen hurriedly responded, but there was no time. Chang Baji's leg directly smashed onto Uncle Zhen's arm that was holding the machete. Chang Baji's kick almost crippled Uncle Zhen's arm. Uncle Zhen's body moved forward due to inertia. Chang Baji immediately followed up with a mighty King Kong arm. Uncle Zhen could no longer avoid it. He could only forcefully raise his left arm to block it. With a bang, Uncle Zhen was directly smashed onto the ground by Chang Baji. He groaned a few times. In the end, Chang Baji kicked Uncle Zhen's chest hard. Uncle Zhen was kicked 2 meters away. He laid on the ground and could not get up no matter how hard he tried. This round, Chang Baji won. Uncle Zhen lost very badly. No matter if it was Feng He or Uncle Zhen, they only thought of Qin Sheng. They did not think of Chang Baji's existence at all. They were not familiar with Chang Baji. How would they know that Chang Baji was such an awesome martial artist? Uncle Zhen was actually not his match at all. Chang Baji purposely showed weakness at the beginning. Uncle Zhen had the upper hand. He kept avoiding his attacks. Uncle Zhen only felt that this man had some skills. He did not feel that he was very powerful. However, after Chang Baji became familiar with Uncle Zhen's moves, he suddenly changed his style. For example, the switch between offense and defense in basketball. He completed the switch from defense to offense in an instant. There were no signs, and he exploded in an instant. Uncle Zhen did not understand at all. By the time he realized it, he was already completely down. The Yin family only sent players like you here. What a disgrace. I thought I would die here tonight, Chang Baji sneered. Chang Baji's last kick was really too domineering. Uncle Zhen did not come back to his senses for a long time. He was definitely injured. It was just that he did not know how serious it was. Anyway, he was lying on the ground and could not get up at all. Blood even flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Compared to Chang Baji, Qin Sheng's side was a little more troublesome. Feng He's ability was indeed not simple. Qin Sheng could not find a chance at all. At this moment, he had already suffered 2 serious injuries. One was on his chest, and the other was on his thigh. Blood was flowing out. Chapter 153. Chapter 153. Awesome. I have arrived in Nanjing. I will walk around the Yangtze River Delta during this period of time to look for some materials. I will actually go to some places. In the end, I will still ask for subscriptions and monthly tickets. How many 40 years do people have in their lives? Most people can only live 2 at most. This year, Chang Baji was already 40 years old. However, he had been a little aggrieved for the past 40 years. In the first 20 years, he learned his skills humbly and basically lived a life of peace. When he was in his 20s, he accumulated enough strength to soar into the sky. Proud and arrogant, he wanted to make a name for himself. However, the next few consecutive blows almost took his life. Chang Baji was young and full of vigor. He was not convinced, especially when others predicted that his fate was not good. He fought against the heavens and wanted to win by half a point. However, in the end, he was defeated by reality. Therefore, in the next 10 years, Chang Baji had no choice but to bury himself in the dust and live a low-profile life. He had almost forgotten how awesome he used to be. Chang Baji had almost forgotten about it. Naturally, other people could not remember it either. Hence, there were so many Tom, Dick, and Harry who came to challenge his bottom line. Chang Baji was a little angry, especially when the Jeep Wrangler rushed over. He was really angry. They really did not take him seriously. They only sent 2 people, and they dared to chase after him and Qin Sheng for thousands of miles. He thought that they were very powerful, but it turned out that they were just SOSO. Seeing that Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed, Chang Baji let Qin Sheng rest. He would personally go up to vent the anger in his heart. When Qin Sheng heard this, he could not help but feel lucky that he brought Chang Baji to Sichuan Southwest. If he did not bring Chang Baji, this day next year would obviously be his death anniversary. He had to admit that he had a tough life. God did not want him to die so early. You should have said so earlier. Cut you go. Qin Sheng hurriedly took a few steps back. The machete in Feng He's hand sliced his clothes again. This Feng He was really overbearing. His machete wanted to kill him. If it was not for the fact that he was quite strong, other people would have died long ago if they met an opponent like Feng He. Although Feng He had been exchanging blows with Qin Sheng, he had actually been staring at Uncle Zhen and Chang Baji at the side. They did not even consider Chang Baji's existence when they came out this time. After all, Qin Sheng decided to bring Chang Baji to Sichuan Southwest at the last minute. They also did not have time to investigate Chang Baji's background. They only knew that Chang Baji was Qin Sheng's friend. No matter if it was him or Yin Chaozong, they both felt that with his and Uncle Zhen's power, unless they met a really powerful tiger man, this trip to Southwest Sichuan would be absolutely safe. However, they actually met such a person. When Chang Baji defeated Uncle Zhen, Feng He broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't expect that Uncle Zhen, who was considered one of the top masters in the Yin family, would actually be defeated by Chang Baji. Where did Chang Baji come from? Uncle Zhen was defeated. Could he, who was only slightly more powerful than Uncle Zhen, win? Chang Baji walked forward slowly and stood in front of Feng He. He chuckled and said, "You are indeed talented to have such strength at such a young age. It's a pity that you met me. Today, let me tell you that it's not a bad thing to keep a low profile." Feng He was speechless. "Uncle, I should be the one telling you this." Although Feng He said that he did not care, he was already feeling a little guilty. Even so, he felt that he would not take half a step back. At most, he would die. This was his fate. Chang Baji smiled faintly and said, "All right, then let me teach you." Feng He had a machete in his hand. On the ground beside him, Uncle Zhen's machete was thrown to the side. Chang Baji did not plan to use it. He still chose to face Feng He with his bare hands. Facing such an enemy, he did not need to be so cautious. Only by doing so could he completely crush Feng He and break the defense in his heart. Then, when Feng He saw him in the future, he would only be fearful and would not be disloyal. Facing Uncle Zhen, Chang Baji chose to avoid the strong points and attack the weak points. He retreated in order to advance and then waited for an opportunity to explode. Facing Feng He, Chang Baji chose the most overbearing and simplest method, which was to fight attack with attack. Chang Baji and Feng He moved almost at the same time. Feng He used his machete as a sword. The machete in his hand drew a tricky arc and went straight for Chang Baji's waist. Chang Baji took advantage of the situation and advanced. That tricky footwork almost stuck closely to Feng He's machete and perfectly avoided his path. Following that, he punched towards the armpit of Feng He's arm that was holding the machete. Feng He saw that the situation was not good. He quickly raised his leg to block Chang Baji's punch. At the same time, he retracted his machete and slashed towards the back of Chang Baji's waist. Chang Baji smiled faintly. He instantly exerted force from his waist into a bow shape and dodged Feng He's attack effortlessly. Following that, he suddenly reached out and grabbed Feng He's wrist. Feng He instantly felt that something was wrong and realized that he had made a mistake. He wanted to retract his hand, but it was already too late. Chang Baji grabbed his wrist and pulled it up suddenly. The machete directly cut through Feng He's ribs. Finally, Chang Baji kicked across the air and landed on the open right side of Feng He's waist. Feng He flew out and hit the cliff, landing heavily on the ground. Feng He's broken ribs were already bleeding profusely. It could be seen that he had suffered a great loss. If you want to take down Chang Baji after a bad start, it could only be said to be a fool's talk. Is this your strength? Is this all the Yin family has? Chang Baji laughed at him unscrupulously. Feng He was very unhappy when he heard this. No one could insult the Yin family, including himself. Hence, he stood up again and shouted, again. Chang Baji stretched out one arm and made a gesture of invitation. He had already used his actions to tell Feng He, come on then, don't talk nonsense. Feng He dashed out again. This time, he planned to use the most domineering machete skill to face Chang Baji. He did not use any moves, but just slashed fiercely. As expected, Chang Baji was somewhat afraid of this kind of machete skill. However, he knew that this kind of move could not last long, especially if the opponent's footsteps and breathing could not keep up. It could only be said that he was courting death. No one would face it head-on. They would only choose to wait for an opportunity. As expected, as his ribs were injured, after a few consecutive moves, Feng He twisted his wound. The intense pain made him subconsciously hold back a little. This was an instinctive reaction of anyone. However, to people like Chang Baji, this was a F** chance. Hence, after Feng He opened his mouth, Chang Baji was like a lion that had been eyeing its prey for 3 days and 3 nights. He attacked without hesitation and directly smashed his arm on Feng He's chest. Feng He's face was almost twitching. It could be seen how domineering Chang Baji's strength was. Feng He's ribs should have been broken. Chang Baji did not even give Feng He a chance to breathe. Following closely, he kicked Feng He's leg. Feng He, who had no chance to resist, directly knelt on the ground. Chang Baji grabbed Feng He's head and kneed Feng He's face. Feng He's entire face was instantly a bloody mess. Finally, Chang Baji kicked Feng He's shoulder. Feng He almost slid out and could not get up anymore. Compared to Uncle Zhen, Feng He's injuries were obviously more serious. Uncle Zhen, who was on the other side, kept staring at the situation. He wanted to shout, but the pain in his chest made him unable to do so. He could only watch Feng He being ravaged by Chang Baji. He was thinking, who the F*** was this person? Why was he so powerful? He and Feng He were not his match at all. Feng He fell on the ground. This time, he could not get up anymore. His face and body were covered in blood. It was really extremely tragic. However, he had to finish acting cool even if he had to hold back his tears. This seemed to be the first time he saw Chang Baji facing such a powerful master. He fought against Uncle Zhen and Feng He, 2 powerful players, alone. When facing Feng He, even he was injured. He was not his match at all. However, to Chang Baji, Feng He was like his plaything. He could do whatever he wanted to him. But to Chang Baji, Feng He was like his toy. He could do whatever he wanted. At this moment, Qin Sheng only wanted to say in his heart, awesome. Uncle Zhen and Feng He were both defeated. Qin Sheng and Chang Baji had the last laugh. Next, what they had to do was how to deal with these 2 defeated generals. How to deal with them. Chang Baji turned around and looked at Qin Sheng. He did not care about Qin Sheng's admiring gaze. Anyway, he was not gay. If it was a young married woman with a voluptuous figure, he might be a little interested. Qin Sheng laughed coldly. Kill them. Chang Baji directly raised his machete and smiled. Then kill them. Anyway, this was the wilderness. If he killed 1 or 2 people, no one would know. He could just throw them into the ravine. Even if they died, no one would find their corpses. At this moment, Uncle Jean and Feng He's hearts were like dead ashes when they heard this. Don't. I was just saying. You really want to kill them? Qin Sheng hurriedly stopped Chang Baji. Chang Baji was a little confused. Why? If it were other enemies, Qin Sheng would definitely kill them without hesitation. Even if he did not kill them, he would throw all their phones into the ravine and leave them to fate. However, he did not want to completely fall out with Yin Chaozong. Even if Yin Chaozong wanted his life, he could only choose to take a step back in exchange for Yin Chaozong's reconciliation. At the same time, it could be considered as a warning to Yin Chaozong. However, if he killed Uncle Jean and Feng He today, then he and Yin Chaozong would really fight to the death. By then, he really did not know how Yin Chaozong would deal with him. With the Yin family's power in Shanghai, they indeed had many ways to deal with him. Qin Sheng did not say anything. Instead, he slowly walked in front of Feng He, squatted down, and said, I won't kill you today, not because I don't dare to, but because I want to leave you alive. Go back and send a message to Yin Chaozong that I, Qin Sheng, am not a pushover. Even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered, let alone a loser like me who has never been at a disadvantage. Only this once. If there's a next time, if you force me into a corner, I'll kill everyone in the Yin family. At most, I'll be the last one to die. As for Lin Su's matter, I'll still say the same thing. Pursue with your own ability. If he can get Lin Su, I definitely won't get involved. I'll leave her alone without hesitation. However, if he wants to continue playing these dirty tricks, all right, I'll accompany him. Your Yin family is powerful, but you don't have the power to cover the sky with one hand, right? After saying this, Qin Sheng patted Feng He's face and stood up with a faint smile. Let's retreat, Qin Sheng shouted to Chang Baji. Qin Sheng originally wanted to drive their Jeep Wrangler directly. However, he thought that the Trumpchi GS5 was a rented car. If he just threw it away like this, he would have to pay a lot of money. He still had to marry a wife in the future, so he had to save up money. Hence, he tried the Trumpchi GS5 first. Who knew that this broken car would actually be fine? He had to admit that domestic cars had become more powerful now. No wonder the Trumpchi was selling so well. Chapter 154. Undressing? If it were those enemies from the past, Qin Sheng would definitely kill Uncle Jean and Feng He tonight. However, Yin Chaozong was special. After all, it involved Lin Su. Qin Sheng did not dare to be so ruthless and left himself a chance. If he was already like this and Yin Chaozong still wanted to kill him, then Qin Sheng would not hold back anymore. Driving the almost scrapped Trumpchi on the road, Qin Sheng turned on his phone and realized that Mr. Wong had called him a few times. Qin Sheng hurriedly returned the call and said that he had fallen asleep just now. His phone was on silent mode, and he did not hear it. He was already on the highway and asked Mr. Wong to rest early. Only then did Mr. Wong feel at ease. Qin Sheng did not dare to tell Mr. Wong what happened on the road. He reckoned that Mr. Wong would be scared half to death. The Trumpchi was already in such a state. Naturally, it would not be able to reach Chengdu. Let's not talk about whether it was allowed on the highway. Even if it was on the highway, it would not be able to run for long. Hence, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji could only head straight to the county town. They planned to make do with it for the night and call the car rental company the next morning to let them think of a way to deal with the car. He and Chang Baji would then take the bus to Chengdu. As for how much money they would have to pay, Qin Sheng could only accept it. At least they were still alive. Money was not a big deal. They found a hotel in the county town. After Qin Sheng had his wounds treated simply, both of them were already exhausted and fell asleep. They slept until noon the next day. Qin Sheng got up and called the car rental company first, saying that there was a car accident and so on. The car rental company contacted the insurance company. Following that, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji went out to find a clinic to treat their wounds properly in case it got infected. When they came back after lunch, the insurance company's staff arrived. They were busy all the way until 3 in the afternoon. Then, they hurriedly took a bus to Chengdu. After Qin Sheng called Lin Su to tell her that he was safe, he told her that they were too tired from driving and rested for the night. Hence, they estimated that they would only be able to return to Shanghai at noon the next day. Lin Su did not think much of it. She just told Qin Sheng to be careful on the road. Last night, after Qin Sheng and Chang Baji abandoned them and left, Uncle Zhen hurriedly called his friends in Sichuan for help. Otherwise, Feng He's life would have been lost there. Then, he reported to Yin Chaozong. Late at night, Yin Chaozong, who was in the Thompson Premium Mansion, was sleeping soundly. He had just attended a gathering of the rich second generations in Shanghai and was forced to drink quite a bit. However, his alcohol tolerance was not bad, and he did not get drunk. He went straight to sleep when he returned. Now, he was woken up by the continuous vibration of his phone. He almost never switched off his phone when he slept at night, afraid that something urgent would happen. Moreover, it was today. He had been waiting for news from Uncle Zhen and Feng He. Yin Chaozong turned on the light in a daze and picked up his phone. He realized that it was Uncle Zhen calling and instantly woke up. He asked in a deep voice, "How's the matter going?" "Young master, we failed," Uncle Zhen said bluntly. Feng He, who was lying not far away, could not move at all. His chest was also in excruciating pain. "What?" Yin Chaozong was shocked. Uncle Zhen and Feng He personally went to deal with a small Qin Sheng, and they actually failed. Moreover, they went prepared. Qin Sheng did not even know how they failed. Uncle Zhen said in a trembling voice, "That man is really too powerful. Feng He and I are not his match at all. If they did not let us go, Feng He and I would have to die here tonight. We might not be able to see young master again." Yin Chaozong was surprised. "You were talking about Qin Sheng? Is he that powerful?" "It's not Qin Sheng, it's his friend. We were too careless. We did not expect Qin Sheng to have such a powerful friend by his side," Uncle Zhen explained honestly. Yin Chaozong thought for a moment and said, "How are you guys now?" "I can still move. Feng He is seriously injured. I have already contacted the people in Sichuan. They are on their way here," Uncle Zhen replied. Yin Chaozong was extremely troubled at this moment. He snorted coldly. "Don't say anything else. We'll talk about it when you guys are back." After hanging up the phone, Yin Chaozong fell into deep thought. He went for wool and came home shorn. He really did not expect this outcome. It seemed that he had underestimated Qin Sheng. However, he would not stop here. He had ways and opportunities to deal with Qin Sheng. When Qin Sheng and Chang Baji returned to Chengdu, it was already 11 p.m. The two of them found an old hot pot restaurant to settle their dinner. In the end, they found a hotel near the airport to rest. Their flight tickets had already been changed to the next morning. After they woke up the next day, they rushed back to Shanghai from Chengdu. This trip was considered to be daunting, but not dangerous. Lin Su arrived half an hour earlier at Pudong International Airport. She felt that it was about time. She waited for Qin Sheng and Chang Baji at the domestic arrival exit. Although there were all kinds of beauties in Shanghai, Lin Su standing there naturally formed a beautiful scenery. In just half an hour, there were already 4 groups of people who ran over to strike up a conversation. They wanted Lin Su's contact details. As expected, they were all rejected by Lin Su. Her reason was very simple. She was already married. A few minutes later, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji finally came out. If they still did not come out, who knew how many more men would come to harass Lin Su? Qin Sheng saw Lin Su from afar. She was dressed in a gray suit. She looked very noble and cold. When he thought that this woman had already become his girlfriend, Qin Sheng was a little elated. He felt that these injuries were really nothing. Qin Sheng waved at Lin Su. Lin Su only had a faint smile on her face. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she looked at Qin Sheng. After Qin Sheng walked in front of Lin Su, he directly stretched out his hands. His meaning was self-evident. On such an occasion, although Lin Su was somewhat reluctant, she still cooperated and hugged Qin Sheng after glaring at him. Although Lin Su's actions were very gentle, she still touched Qin Sheng's wound. Qin Sheng let out a muffled groan and grimaced in pain. Lin Su felt that something was wrong. She raised her head and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Qin Sheng immediately recovered and said, "Nothing. I just miss you. I'm a little excited to see you." "Do you always coax women like this in the past?" Lin Su said disapprovingly, but there was still some warmth in her heart. She was such a woman. Even if other men said thousands of nice words to her, they were just repetitive nonsense to her. But if she liked a man, even a casual word of love from this man might make her enjoy it. Perhaps every woman was like this. Lin Su's heart was filled with warmth. Lin Su said disapprovingly. Qin Sheng laughed out loud and said, "I'll only coax you in the future." Lin Su pushed Qin Sheng away and snorted coldly. "Give me an inch and you on a foot." This time, she touched Qin Sheng's wounds again. Qin Sheng's face changed slightly. In order to prevent Lin Su from finding out that something was wrong, he held Lin Su's hand and smiled. "Let's go, we're all starving." Chang Baji, who had been standing by the side, chose to ignore the existence of the two. He knew that there would be a lot of public displays of affection in the future. On the way back, Lin Su casually asked Qin Sheng about the trivial matters of sending Shu Wan and Shu Yi back. Qin Sheng chatted with her about Mr. Wang. Speaking of Mr. Wang, Lin Su also felt a little emotional. It's a pity that there are not many people like Mr. Wang in this society. Yes, how many people are willing to devote the most brilliant youth of their life to their dreams? Qin Sheng smiled bitterly. After having lunch at the entrance of Lin Su's community, Chang Baji sensibly left. He took the initiative and said, "I'll go back to Shangshan Ruoshui first. There are still some things I need to deal with there." "Well, I won't go there today. You tell Mizzen that I'll go there tomorrow." Qin Sheng still wanted to stay with Lin Su for a while, so he said with a smile. Chang Baji said playfully, "I'm afraid that when you go back tomorrow, Mizzen will kill you. The world is big, but my girlfriend is the most important." Qin Sheng looked at Lin Su and said carelessly. Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng and said nothing. After Chang Baji left, Lin Su took Qin Sheng back to Lu Jiazhui's central apartment. Qin Sheng changed his shoes and put his luggage in the dining room, saying that it was the local specialties that Mr. Wang brought for her. Lin Su suddenly stopped talking and stared at Qin Sheng with a serious face. Her eyes were a little cold. Qin Sheng was a little confused. "What's wrong with you?" "Take off your clothes." Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng and said very seriously. Qin Sheng was shocked and subconsciously said, "Wife, aren't we a little too fast? I haven't gotten used to it yet. Besides, it's daytime now. Can we wait until night?" Lin Su was so angry that her face turned red, but she still insisted. "Don't talk nonsense. Take off your upper body first." Although Qin Sheng did not understand what Lin Su wanted to do, he really did not dare to take off his clothes. The treated wounds on his body were still wrapped with bandages. If he took off his clothes, it would be all exposed. How could he smooth things over then? "Can I not take it off?" Qin Sheng did not dare to be too tough and asked in a negotiating tone. Lin Su instantly pulled a long face. Obviously, she was really angry. Qin Sheng made up his mind and quickly said, "I'll take it off. I'll take it off, okay?" Therefore, under Lin Su's gaze, Qin Sheng took off all the clothes on his upper body one by one. When he took off the innermost layer of thermal underwear, Qin Sheng could no longer hide it. At this moment, Qin Sheng's entire upper body was exposed. The bandages on his shoulders and waist were so dazzling, and even the blood that had seeped out could be seen. Lin Su was shocked. She knew that there might be something wrong with Qin Sheng's body. Otherwise, when she met Qin Sheng several times, Qin Sheng had some small movements. Although he hid it very well, it could not escape her observation at all. Thinking of Qin Sheng's delay in returning to Shanghai for half a day, Lin Su felt that there must be something wrong. However, Lin Su did not expect that it would be so serious. Qin Sheng had already given up. He just stood there and let Lin Su stare at him. Anyway, he had been used to these years. It was not the first time that he was injured. It would not take long for him to recover, and there was no danger to his life. After an unknown period of time, Lin Su's eyes suddenly turned red. She bit her lips and asked, "What's going on?" "It's okay. It's just a little scratch. It's not a big deal," Qin Sheng said with a cheeky smile. Lin Su's eyes followed the flow, and she asked again, "Can you find a better reason?" Qin Sheng did not speak. He really did not know how to explain. Could he tell Lin Su that Yin Chaozong had sent people to chase him for thousands of miles to kill him? He had long been used to bear everything by himself and was not willing to tell others. "Qin Sheng, am I still your girlfriend?" Lin Su asked word by word. Qin Sheng nodded without hesitation and said, "Yes." Lin Su said calmly, "If you still treat me as your girlfriend, then tell me, what's going on?" Since Lin Su had already said so, Qin Sheng realized the weight of Lin Su's words. If he insisted on not saying, maybe Lin Su would really be angry. Such a woman would not allow others to lie to her, let alone treat her as a fool. Chapter 155. Chapter 155, Get Out. Some men, no matter how much they suffered and how much they were wronged, would rather swallow everything in their stomach than let their woman know, because they felt that as his woman, he should give her happiness and comfort instead of endless worry and fear. Qin Sheng was the same. He did not want anyone to worry about him. However, this time, he could not win against Lin Su, who was more domineering. Although Lin Su acted like a little woman in front of him recently, that was because their relationship had changed. Lin Su had become his girlfriend, so she purposely put away her aura. But at this moment, Lin Su naturally would not let Qin Sheng do as he pleased. She had to figure out what was going on. A normal person's body would definitely be smooth, but Qin Sheng's body was full of scars. Except for the wound that was bandaged this time, there were several other unimaginable scars on other parts of his body. Lin Su did not know why she felt a little pain in her heart. It was so painful that she seemed to be unable to breathe. She did not know when she had already burst into tears. She felt sad and distressed. Qin Sheng could not stand women's tears the most. It used to be Su Qin, and now it was Lin Su. He slowly took 2 steps forward, hugged Lin Su's shoulder, and then stretched out his hand to wipe away the tears on Lin Su's face. He smiled bitterly and said, "It's not a big deal. Why are you crying? Your man is an unkillable cockroach. He will recover in a few days." Lin Su still did not speak and kept crying. This was the second time she had cried in front of Qin Sheng. The first time was at the birthday party a few days ago, when she was moved by Qin Sheng's unexpected surprise. This time, she was crying because she felt sorry for Qin Sheng. Lin Su did not just let it go. She said with a slightly crying tone, "Who did it?" Qin Sheng did not know how to explain. He thought quickly and finally could only say, "On the way, we met a road robbery. There were few people on the mountain road. When there were basically no cars at night, we fell into their trap. They outnumbered us. Fortunately, Lao Chong and I were skilled, so we were slightly injured and finally escaped." Then what about these? Lin Su did not believe Qin Sheng easily. She pointed at Qin Sheng's old scars and asked. Qin Sheng laughed and said, "These are all old injuries. When I was in Zhongnan Mountains, I often ran into the mountains to play. It is inevitable that I would get hurt. In the past 2 years, I visited famous mountains and rivers and also had a few accidents and got injured." Really? Lin Su knew that no matter how she asked him, he might not tell her the truth. Perhaps he did not want her to worry. Hence, Lin Su had already given up. Qin Sheng said in a powerful and resonant voice, "It's absolutely true. Who would I lie to? You?" "I'll believe you for now," Lin Su said, wiping away her tears gently. However, she was still suspicious and decided to find someone to investigate what was going on. Qin Sheng teased Lin Su and said, "Your makeup is ruined from crying. You can go find a pretty one," Lin Su said disapprovingly. If she was ugly, then there were not many pretty girls in Shanghai. She then picked up Qin Sheng's clothes from the side and said, "Hurry up and put on your clothes, don't catch a cold." No matter how strong Lin Su was, she was still a weak woman at this moment. She could not help but be shocked by Qin Sheng. Of course, she knew what Qin Sheng wanted to express, but she had never experienced this kind of thing before. She wanted to struggle subconsciously. However, Qin Sheng no longer had any scruples. He directly kissed Lin Su's sexy lips. Lin Su was dumbfounded. This was her first kiss, and Qin Sheng had snatched it away just like that. Any woman, no matter if they were goddesses or fairies, in order to conquer their hearts, they would first have to conquer their bodies. Women who had never had any physical contact with you would have a world of difference in their feelings towards you. To put it simply, having sex with them and not having sex with them were two completely different concepts. Qin Sheng did not dare to settle things in one go. He did not have the guts to do so. Moreover, he liked relationships to come naturally and progress step by step. Moreover, it was impossible for Lin Su to do so. Therefore, Qin Sheng decided to take things step by step. She was forcefully kissed by Qin Sheng, just like that. Before Lin Su could come back to her senses, Qin Sheng had already started to attack her teeth. Lin Su was a little angry at first, but she thought that she was already Qin Sheng's girlfriend. It was human nature to do things between men and women. Moreover, it had already come to this. What else could she do? Therefore, she could only let Qin Sheng take liberties with her and completely gave up resisting. In life and work, Lin Su was an omnipotent strong woman. However, at this moment, Lin Su really had no experience at all. Everything was led by Qin Sheng. She could only subconsciously cooperate. Qin Sheng was very restrained. He only kissed Lin Su simply. His hands hugged Lin Su obediently. He did not dare to do anything extra, for fear that Lin Su could not take it and would get angry. After an unknown period of time, Qin Sheng finally let go of Lin Su. He gently separated them and stared at Qin Sheng, who had gone soft, with a smirk on his face. Lin Su blushed and glared at Qin Sheng fiercely. However, she did not know that at this moment, she was really flirtatious. Lin Su pushed Qin Sheng away and snorted. Qin Sheng deliberately covered his wound and pretended to shout. Lin Su immediately became nervous. She thought that she had hurt Qin Sheng's wound. She quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "I'm teasing you." Qin Sheng laughed. Lin Su was so angry that she was a little speechless. Was this man an enemy in her previous life? In this life, he came to find her to repay the debt. He really bullied her everywhere. Lin Su tidied up her clothes and said, "I have to go to the company later. You have a good rest in the afternoon." Qin Sheng laughed and said, "Here, do as you wish." Lin Su was too lazy to pay attention to Qin Sheng. However, Qin Sheng did not dare to be presumptuous. He could only smile and said, "Forget it. I'm afraid that you will come back and kill me. I'll go home first." Qin Sheng and Lin Su went out together. He first sent Lin Su to the company. Then he returned to Shilin Huayuan. When Lin Su returned to Poly Center, the beauty at the front desk quickly walked in front of her and whispered something in her ear. Lin Su frowned slightly and then went straight to the office. In the office, a man dressed in fancy clothes was standing in front of the French windows and smoking. The whole office was filled with smoke, which made Lin Su very disgusted. No one had ever dared to smoke in her office. "What are you doing here?" Lin Su asked very unhappily. The man threw the cigarette butt on the ground and stepped on it to extinguish it. He turned around and stared at Lin Su with a smile. "My good sister, why do you think I'm here? If I don't come, I think you will elope with that loser. That's my business. It has nothing to do with you." Lin Su snorted. After hearing this, the man laughed out loud and said, "Nothing to do with me? How could it have nothing to do with me? You're my sister, a woman of the Lin family. I really don't know what's going on in your head. Yin Chaozong is so outstanding, but you didn't choose him, but chose a loser with no background and no ability. Are you out of your mind? Get lost," Lin Su said angrily. The man said disapprovingly, "I really regret that I did not witness the exciting scene that night. Otherwise, I will definitely make that loser unforgettable for life. But don't worry, the Yin family will definitely not let it go. After offending the Yin family and Yin Chaozong, you still want to survive in the Shanghai? You can only say that you are a fool's dream. I advise you to draw a line with that loser. Don't let the Yin family blame our Lin family. I asked you to get lost. Do you believe that I will ask the security to chase you out?" Lin Su completely exploded. This was the reason why she was unwilling to go back to her home in Ningbo. If it was not to go back to see her grandmother, she would not be willing to face these people. Haha, do you think I want to come? I just happen to be in Shanghai for some business, so I helped my father to inform you that he wants you to go home this weekend. The man sneered and said, you can choose not to go back, but I reckon that the old man will come to Shanghai personally. I don't know what will happen then. After saying what needed to be said, the man laughed out loud and left, as if he was very happy to see this sister of his angry. After the man left, Lin Su forced herself to calm down. The angrier she was, the happier this kind of scumbag would be. As for what this scumbag said, she had already expected it. The moment she chose Qin Sheng, she knew that all of this was unavoidable. However, she really did not know whether she should go back or not. She stood in front of the window and thought for a long time, but she still could not make up her mind. She could only delay it for now. Then, she thought of Qin Sheng and immediately dialed a friend's number. She said, help me check if any of Yin Chaozong's confidants have been to Sichuan these 2 days. When Qin Sheng was in trouble, Lin Su subconsciously thought of Yin Chaozong. If there was anyone that Qin Sheng had offended, then Yin Chaozong was the one that Qin Sheng had offended the most recently. Moreover, this was Yin Chaozong's style. He would definitely do such a thing. So Lin Su directly asked her friend to check on Yin Chaozong's movements. After Qin Sheng returned to Shilin Huayuan, he slept for a while and then got up to read for a while. He waited until 6 or 7 o'clock before going out. At night, he asked Han Bing out for dinner. This girl had taken Xin shopping today. After returning to Shanghai, the two of them were closer. Obviously, Han Bing was taking the diplomatic route. Unfortunately, Qin Sheng and Lin Su had confirmed their relationship, but she still did not know. When Qin Sheng arrived at a rather high-end Western restaurant on the Bund, Han Bing and Xin were already waiting for him. After seeing Qin Sheng, Xin muttered, brother, why are you so late? I'm not as leisurely as you guys, Qin Sheng said disapprovingly. One was a boss, the other was a student. Han Bing thought of what happened between Qin Sheng and his ex-girlfriend Su Qin that day and sneered. Who knows what you've been doing? What can I do? Qin Sheng said, amused. Han Bing stared at Qin Sheng and said, you're really mysterious recently. You're even busier than the president of the country. It's really difficult to find you. Qin Sheng quickly explained, didn't I go on a business trip with Lao Chong? I'll only be back in the afternoon. Han Bing was quite interesting. She missed Qin Sheng a little when she did not see him. When she saw Qin Sheng, she always bickered with him. At this moment, she was too lazy to care about Qin Sheng and was busy ordering dishes with Xin. At this time, Qin Sheng's phone rang. After taking out his phone and seeing that it was Jiang Xianbang, Qin Sheng's expression changed slightly. He quietly stood up and left. Chapter 156. Make Up Mind's second update. I haven't seen the second update for a long time. Please subscribe. During this period of time, Jiang Xianbang's assets had almost been dealt with by Su Lancheng, including some properties around the country. At present, only the garden house on Middle Huaihai Road and Shangshan Ruoshui were left. As for Shangshan Ruoshui, if Qin Sheng had not said that Xue Qingyan was interested, Jiang Xianbang might have already reached an agreement with Boss Yi. No one thought that things would develop to this extent. Jiang Xianbang's preparation was almost a full retreat. It seemed that he had already prepared for the worst. When will it be handed over? Qin Sheng was slightly disappointed. After all, he regarded Shangshan Ruoshui as the first starting point and springboard after returning to Shanghai. On this platform, relying on Jiang Xianbang's background and support, he could accumulate enough connections and resources in just a few years to lay a solid foundation for future development. But if Shangshan Ruoshui changed hands, the new boss would obviously not support him so much. On the yacht in Victoria Harbor, Jiang Xianbang drank and said, in the next week, Su Lancheng has already signed the agreement. Okay, I understand, Qin Sheng said in a deep voice. Jiang Xianbang could inform him in advance, which was already very gratifying to Qin Sheng, which meant that Jiang Xianbang really regarded him as one of his own. Jiang Xianbang said with a smile, don't worry too much. Old Yi will continue to train you. The position of the general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui will be yours sooner or later. Even if you take a step back, you can come to Hong Kong. There are more opportunities here. Uncle Jiang. Thank you, Qin Sheng said sincerely. Jiang Xianbang said casually, I'm busy now. Talk to you later. After the phone call, Qin Sheng returned to the restaurant. He was not in a good mood. Although he said so, in any place, there was a change of ruler and a change of courtiers. Bossy obviously had his own considerations and plans after taking over Shangshan Ruoshui. After all, he did not know Bossy and had not seen Bossy, so he was somewhat uncertain. What's wrong? Han Bing saw Qin Sheng was in a daze and asked with some doubts. Qin Sheng came back to his senses and smiled. Nothing, some work matters. I don't think so, Han Bing said thoughtfully. The thing that bothered her the most now was the story between Qin Sheng and his ex-girlfriend. Although Hale told her that they had broken up, Han Bing was still worried. To her, any woman who appeared in front of Qin Sheng was a threat. You're right. Qin Sheng did not think too much about it. He laughed and said, Then what do you think it is? Ex-girlfriend. Han Bing said casually. Hearing this, Qin Sheng almost spat out the mouthful of water that he had just drunk. Xin, who was next to him, was also stunned. Out of a woman's intuition, she felt that this matter was not simple. Otherwise, Han Bing would not have mentioned it. However, she really did not know whether Han Bing knew about the relationship between her brother and Su Qin. At least, she had never mentioned it. What the hell? Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment before he replied. Han Bing laughed and said, I'm just kidding. Hurry up and order the dishes. I'm starving. The next day, Qin Sheng got up early and finished his jog. He drove to send flowers to Lin Su first. The shop owner was now familiar with him. After seeing him, he would take the initiative to wrap the flowers. Although Lin Su had now become his girlfriend, Qin Sheng did not intend to stop this habit. When he arrived at Shangshan Ruoshui, it was just the working hours. The artists and gentlemen had already prepared the reception work. During the time when Qin Sheng was not in the office, the reception department was completely handled by Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan. Most of the time, Wang Haichao was not in charge. However, in the last 2 days, he looked quite proud, which made Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan very puzzled. You're finally back. As soon as he arrived at the office, Qin Sheng called Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan over. He wanted to know what happened in Shangshan Ruoshui these days from them. Yu Fengji sneered at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng laughed and said, I'm very relieved to have you two elites here. You are relieved, but Mizzen has been very unhappy with you these days. She vented her anger on our reception department when you were not here. And recently, the atmosphere in Shangshan Ruoshui is not right. It is said that Shangshan Ruoshui was sold by the big boss. The day before yesterday, a group of people came. Although they did not reveal their identity, everyone knew what they were doing. As Qin Sheng's #1 confidant, Yu Fengji immediately reported to Qin Sheng. At the same time, she also wanted to get some information from Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng was deep in thought. He did not expect Bossy to be so fast. No wonder Jiang Xianbang said last night that the two sides would be able to hand over within this week. Is it true? Liu Yuan took the initiative to ask. If it was really going to be acquired, then there would definitely be a personnel shock. He, the newly appointed deputy manager of the reception department, was in some danger. Yu Fengji was also waiting for Qin Sheng's answer. Qin Sheng said with a smile, Since you already know, then I will tell you the truth. The big boss is really going to sell Shangshan Ruoshui. Why? Yu Fengji was a little surprised. She had already submitted herself to Qin Sheng and pinned all her hopes on him. But Qin Sheng's biggest support was the big boss. If the boss was changed, then who would still care about him? Maybe he would leave Shangshan Ruoshui. What would she do then? Qin Sheng said casually, This is the big boss's arrangement. Then what's your plan? Yu Fengji frowned. This was what she was most concerned about. Qin Sheng laughed and said, Me? Of course, I will stay in Shangshan Ruoshui. Such a good job. I can't bear to leave. I can live for at least 10 more years if I can be with beautiful women every day. Brother Liu, Fengji, don't think too much. Also tell the artists and young masters that even if the boss of Shangshan Ruoshui is changed, the treatment and personnel will not change. Let them work with peace of mind. Qin Sheng told Yu Fengji and Liu Yuan. Liu Yuan and Yu Fengji nodded silently. After Liu Yuan left, Yu Fengji did not intend to leave. Qin Sheng was puzzled and asked, "Is there anything else?" Shangshan Ruoshui has changed owners. Your position is very awkward. You can climb so fast because of your relationship with the big boss. Don't you have a sense of crisis? Yu Fengji sneered. She chose Qin Sheng because she wanted to choose Qin Sheng's future. Now that Qin Sheng's future was bleak, she naturally wanted to make it clear to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng asked, "I think you are not worried about me, but yourself. You have taken advantage of me so much. I haven't seen any return. Naturally, I don't want to suffer losses." Yu Fengji said very straightforwardly. This was the truth. Qin Sheng got up and walked in front of Yu Fengji. He pinched her chin and said, "Don't worry, I will take you. The new boss is Boss Yi, one of the 6 VVIP members. He is a close friend of Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang has already told me that he will focus on training me. The position of the general manager of Shangshan Ruoshui will be mine sooner or later. I hope so, but before I see any benefits, I will not let you go too far," Yu Fengji said fiercely. After that, she turned around and left. Qin Sheng looked at the back of Yu Fengji and laughed. This woman, after taking such a long leave, Qin Sheng naturally had to report to Mizan. The moment Mizan stepped into the office, Qin Sheng came in. Mizan said unhappily, "I thought you were going to resign." "Mizan, I can't bear to leave you," Qin Sheng flattered. After Mizan sat down, she snorted and said, "Don't flatter me. I think you know better than anyone else about Shangshan Ruoshui. I will not talk about the past. Recently, you have to calm down. These 2 days, Boss Ye's team is doing due diligence. If it goes well, they may take over Shangshan Ruoshui this week. If you don't want to be fired after Boss Ye takes over, then stay in Shangshan Ruoshui and wait for the new general manager." Qin Sheng quickly said, "Don't worry, Mizan. I think these days I will not take leave." "That's good," Mizan said doubtfully. In the next few days, Qin Sheng did stay in Shangshan Ruoshui obediently. Boss Ye's team began to settle in Shangshan Ruoshui. The leader was a man wearing glasses. This man was 35 or 36 years old, very elegant and gentle. He was very polite to Chang Baji, Mizan, and Qin Sheng. Now everyone knew that Shangshan Ruoshui was going to be acquired. Of course, no one could interfere with this level of things. The only thing they could do was to behave themselves. To Qin Sheng's surprise, Wang Haichao seemed to be a little strange. In the past, when he saw him, he would hide. Recently, he was very polite. He called Qin Sheng Manager Qin, which made Qin Sheng very surprised. He suspected that this guy might have taken the wrong medicine. Lin Su's mood was a little agitated these 2 days. The day after tomorrow was the weekend. She was not sure if she would go back to Ningbo. If she did not go back, her powerful boss might really come to Shanghai. At that time, this matter might be out of control. If she went back, she knew what she would face. Maybe it would be the pressure of the whole Lin family. These 2 days, she did not see Qin Sheng. She was a little busy here. Qin Sheng was also busy cooperating with Boss Ye's team to do due diligence. So they could only send text messages every day and occasionally make a phone call. After a long time, Lin Su still missed Qin Sheng, the man who always teased her, but had already entered the depths of her heart 2 years ago. As for the friend she asked to help investigate Yin Chaozong, there was no news at all. Just when Lin Su almost forgot about this matter, the friend finally called. The final news was that Yin Chaozong's confidant, Feng He, and the Yin family's old servant, Uncle Zhen, had indeed gone to Sichuan a few days ago. The 2 of them were seriously injured and had only returned to Shanghai last night. Hearing this, Lin Su finally understood everything. Why was Qin Sheng injured? Why did Qin Sheng and Chang Baji delay for a day before returning to Shanghai? The reason behind all this was Yin Chaozong. Just as she thought, she chose Qin Sheng and not Yin Chaozong. On the day of the birthday party, she indeed made Yin Chaozong lose face. Yin Chaozong could not do anything to her, but he would definitely find Qin Sheng to vent his anger. However, she did not expect that Yin Chaozong would be so direct. He directly sent people to southwest Sichuan to deal with Qin Sheng. She more or less knew Qin Sheng's skills. Chang Baji was obviously not an ordinary person. Even so, Qin Sheng was still injured. It could be seen how dangerous the experience that night was. Thinking of this, Lin Su felt a little heartache. She did not expect Qin Sheng to almost lose his life when they were just together. However, Qin Sheng endured these things alone. He did not want her to know and worry at all. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.